Almost. All right. And here we go. Oh, Arnold. What's up, guys? Looks like aliens in CB. Thanks for hopping in, fellas. Whew. A little stiff today, but we're gonna see how things go. Adrian, hello, sir. What's up? We're about to start. It's about to go down. Whew. 800 plus. No, actually, weights aren't allowed to get as maybe a little bit hyphy as they did last week. Unfortunately. Not unfortunately. We're in meet prep right now. So, nothing fancy, nothing flashy, just doing what we're supposed to do. Oh yeah, you've missed the last couple of streams, haven't you, aliens? Because I got a haircut. Well, must have been last Thursday? No, it was last Wednesday. Because I worked out with Brandon in Seattle Tuesday, and I got too hot having to wear my hat because my hair was a mess, so I ended up getting a haircut. It's way cooler, like physically, not like swag, because you can't. One of those nights. It's gonna be one of those nights. We have the stopwatch going. Let's see if we can't get up to 600 in like less than 20 minutes or something today. Julio, you animal. Thank you, sir. Kenzo and Arno, hello. Hello. Oh boy. I don't know. I'm not nervous. If anything, this workout is deceptively feels like it should be easy. The numbers that I'm looking at, because of how great everything went last week, I'm a little nervous that like one of the sets doesn't feel so good and I let it get to my head, but everything should go pretty smooth. So Herein lies the challenge, trying to stay focused no matter what. Ugh. I appreciate that, aliens. I'm glad your girlfriend enjoys the singing. Julio, you saw the IG page through Brandon Campbell, Granddaddy Gaines himself, and the pause deadlift is ridiculous. Well, thank you very much. A lot of work. That was a pretty ridiculous workout in the first place. So, yeah, William, finally, I'm working out when you're not working. Alien, she loves that you actually react to the chat. There's no point in even having you guys here just to watch me blindly go through everything, right? That sounds infinitely easier, but way less fun. What would the point be? You know, a couple of shadow punches towards all the invisible ninjas to keep your shoulders loose. It actually feels weird not pausing all of these since they're not. Today's the first session since like first week of March where we're not doing all the sumo, or the starting majority, I guess, of the work of being pause work. Also, fun fact, I do not know why I do partials for all the light sets anymore. I think that's something I just started doing like in the last couple of months. I don't really know why. I'm going to pee my pants. That's adorable. Adorable things give me issues with controlling my bladder as well, my friend. So, totes relatable. Super totes. Antonio, Ben is for the people. Always, brother. Always for the people. Adrian, what's the plan today? So today we've got mostly singles, actually. Now that I'm looking at the session, it's work up 655, 670 for singles, 685 for a couple of singles, and then 645 for 2 sets of 2. I might just do 645 for a double as a warm-up on the way up, just to remove some redundancy, I think. The sumo brings all the boys to the garage and or yard. Exactly. I can actually see the yard because the garage door is open, but I can't go showing you guys all where I live, or else you'll come and steal all the chickens. Can't have people stealing the chickens. Can I trade? My girlfriend likes me more than she likes me. Well, I'm flattered, but spoken for. Aliens is a good dude. He's a good dude. He takes good care of the chat for me when I'm not able to keep track. I feel too good today. I have to slow myself down so I don't get ahead of myself. Then we go into these little single things already. Let's move the bar over a tidge. Go where you want to go. Go ahead. I won't. Never tell the bar how to live its life. If it wants to be free, it needs to be free. But I can't have it too far over there because it's only leveled to about here, pretty much where the plates are right now. So. So I meditated for about 15 minutes right before this. I feel super focused. Maybe a little too focused. Need to calm down a bit. Oh, sorry I missed that, Julio. Yeah. Adrian's right. I'm moving into the 105s from the 93s. I only weigh about 100 kilos right now. So, it's a work in progress. I weighed around 99 at the Arnold and managed to pack on a solid kilo from there. And yeah, I could make 93, but my body's way more resilient at somewhere closer to like 97 or 98 kilos. So I'm gonna try to work our way over the next year and a half into the slightly bigger boys and try not to end up being a fluffer. Solid kilo. Big solid kilo. It's about a, give or take, a solid kilo it is. I'm pretty proud of it, Adrian. That's 2.2 pounds, American. C. Gason, hellos. Is it Julio or is it Julio? Should I not be pronouncing the J? I'm gonna assume Julio until you tell me that the J is a hard J. What are my goals for the weight class? Currently, just to stay healthy and keep getting stronger. I was floating around 200 pounds body weight for years and years, and then got kind of sloppy for a while. And then when I started working with Eric and Hanny, we brought me back down from around this body weight, at much weaker at this body weight than I am now, down to the 205s. And then I was doing okay, but I was way more injury prone. My training was less consistent because I'd have a lot more ups and downs with the training, where I still have, normal kinds of training struggles now at the higher body weight, but I don't like to set numerical goals. I've been doing this for too long for me to guess how the progress is going to come or go. I'm just going to work as hard as I can and as smart as I can and get the most that I'm able to on the day. So because then I don't have anything to feel bad about. Like if I work as absolutely hard as I can and control every factor that I have available to me, and I'm not able to reach some number, no matter what I did, I wouldn't be able to have reached that number. As long as my effort is the thing that is that I'm basing my progress on. It's the best that I could have gotten, and we just keep working through it. So I don't know if I'll even make it all the way up into the 105s until next nationals. So we'll just kind of see, play it by ear, try to be a smart little Benjamin. Easier said than done. Adrian, thank you, sir. Well, I think that's the only way of looking at it that I can really be productive. Because if I just become obsessive or focus in too much on a goal, then I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually make anything happen. Because what if I put something solid in stone, put it out there, it gives me, if I'm stronger than that number suggests, then that number becomes a limiter. I won't go as far as I could if I wasn't thinking about hitting these particular numbers. And if I'm not able to reach it, then I'll feel like I failed despite having done everything I could. Again, the one thing that I'm tying all of my perception to is how hard I'm working and and processing the kinds of decisions that I'm making. And as long as I learn from the decisions, it doesn't matter if if I make mistakes. Most of the knowledge or wisdom or whatever you want to call it that I've kind of accumulated over years and years of doing this is a result of having done enough wrong things to recognize them quicker and to adjust them faster. That's really it. So, all right, boy. Aliens is watching Guy Fieri and Benrice at the same time. That's the life. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Probably should start clamping these. Probs should start clamping. 495 on the bar. Second to last warm-up set. And now I'm all paranoid where I have to double check the weights every single time because if anybody didn't see on Instagram when I had a plate misload on the bar it was supposed to be a 725 pause dead and it ended up being a 680 still pause dead, but like almost had to return your spine to sender kind of a deal. Also, we're going to see how the hook feels today because I did tear something on the 750 pause I did last week. It didn't hurt. I didn't notice it until afterwards, but I definitely tore some stuff in here. And so I've been working on hand care, but there's still a little bit of tenderness, so we'll see. Not bad so far. Oh, that's what I forgot. Forgot to tape my non-torn thumb. See, Jason, how heavy do I go on weighted chin-ups? Not super heavy. Like I said, I'm moving up a weight class, so I don't need a whole lot of weight to feel like I've got weight. I've got a little, where I'll find it. I need to see if it even says on it. Little weight vest here. What was that about? Yeah. I'm gonna call this around 20 to 25 pounds, I think. Just like, I think it's like a Gold's, yeah. Gold's Gym thing I got a few years ago. Back when I was a skinnier lad and did a lot of calisthenics type stuff. Julia, when I still pulled it. Which one? The 750? Oh, it tore on the 750. Or are you talking about the one where it was a crooked weight? Yeah. I didn't realize that I had misloaded. I thought that I'd messed something up, like, in the pull. And because I'm looking back at it, like, why did I pull it? It was so obvious when I'm thinking about it now that, yeah, it was obvious. Like, it wasn't like a couple of pounds. It was 45 pounds on one side at, I don't even know what percent that is, because I don't honestly know where my deadlift is. Based off of my if we're going to call 750 a max, which it currently isn't, but yeah, that was a 45-pound misload on one side of something around 90%. And I still was, I don't know. Spinal stabilization practice for the win, I guess. Adam! Everyone give some shout-out loves to my big brother, Adam Big Hill, down there in New Orleans, working with the Saints and their OTAs, which I had to look up because I know League of Legends way better than I know football. Evan, you're a calm man. I'm curious, whenever you get angry, upset, how do you calm yourself down? Focusing on my breathing. That's how I do it. Yeah, gross. But yeah, bringing myself back to the moment. Usually anger has something to do. It usually has a root somewhere, right? And usually that root is not necessarily in that moment. So if I focus on my breathing and I focus on the things that I can control, I'm able to bring myself down. I'm not always the best at it. People give me too much credit if they think I don't ever get mad or that I ever don't like overreact about things. Ben doesn't get upset. He's way too chill. That's not true. I get upset. I usually am more mad at myself than other people, though. So, aliens, did I ever do a video on meditating? I think all my videos are kind of about meditating without actually being about meditating. I haven't done one that's specific, but I do talk about mindfulness, which is the primary way that I like to meditate, is to center myself in the moment, focus on the process of acceptance, and then the idea of commitment to choices that you make that are based on your values that you want to achieve, not like kind of the internal dialogue that's going on. So, but for the most part, whenever I get mad at somebody, it's usually rooted in something I'm upset about within myself. So that's how that usually goes. And Adam, you asked what I'm hitting tonight. Tonight, working up with a bunch of singles in the mid 600s. Top sets are just 2 singles at 685, and then 2 doubles at 645. So actually, I told myself I wanted to get up to 605 within 20 minutes, and I've got 15 seconds to have done that. So we're up here. We up in here. Ian, do you ever feel the weight with comp plates on the platform feel heavier than in the gym? If I'm ever pulling on something that's not an Ohio power bar, then it usually doesn't feel too different. When I used to pull with my deadlift bar, it was pretty significant. But right now, I dropped so much fatigue in the last week before a meet, and I'm usually deadlifting with so much fatigue on me. Everything in here always feels heavier than it does on the platform. If I do everything correctly, I have a tendency to, or in the past, I've had a tendency to make mental mistakes on the platform and have little misgrooves, and so I'd say that's usually what happens. Referring to the squat, the squat's way. The squat will feel easier, if anything, because the comp plates make it so the bar is whipping less than I'm used to, which makes it feel way more solid on your back. So that's actually nice. The squats always feel better. Bench always feels pretty much better because my bench is horrible. And if when I get the disposable income, that's the first thing that's getting upgraded in this gym, is going to get an actual bench that's like competition specs, because this one's slick and too low and horrible. But it's fine. Make it work. I'd rather that be the case. I'd rather things feel worse in here than they do on the platform. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question, Ian. Sorry for not realizing what you were talking about. C. Gason, do you think upper back rounding can prevent lower back rounding in some kind of way? Can prevent it. I mean, you're changing some part of your positioning so that you can reach the bar. It's better if you don't have the mobility in your hips to be able to get into a neutral spinal position with your hips in a good spot, then it's better to break in the upper back, because it's harder to hurt yourself that way. The real problem, I mean, obviously you want to be in a spinally neutral position, because it's easier to control kind of all the ins and outs. You don't want movement in your torso during the lift. You want that to be solid, and you're keeping everything connected while you're having movement in the extraneous kind of other areas of your body. So while it's not ideal, it's way less opening yourself up to injury to have your upper back a little rounded than it is when you have your lumbar spine rounded. That's under load. That's definitely a no-no. And anytime that's happening, you want to try and remove that. And then eventually you want to work your way to you have the mobility and you have stability in all your positions where you're able to pull with a neutral spine, just because it's mechanically going to be safer and you're going to be able to generate more force. It may not be able to generate more force right now because you might not have the mobility or the strength to maintain it. That's when I watch my old deadlift videos, that's always what I'm telling myself. But yeah, if you have reason to do it, I can see someone saying like it's not as big of a deal when your upper back is rounding. But if you're using that as an excuse to not try and develop a better position anyway, then who are you hurting with that answer? You're trying to protect your ego at the expense of your possible improvement, and that's not worth it. I'm gonna tug on this real quick. Aliens that feel when you have to go to retro fitness for 9 weeks and they don't even have any proper barbells, make it work, man. All we can ask of ourselves is to do the best we can with what we're given, both time and circumstance. Go ahead and film this just for posterity's sake. Is what it is. Too far to the left. What am I doing? And go where you will. Can't always tell the bar where you want it to be, because it's heavier than you are and it will pull you to where it wants to be. Aliens, they have a trap bar, never used one before. Might be worth a switch and try to keep my deadlift up. Well, it's better than not trying to deadlift, right? My friend Zach McCarley, pro strongman, won few national championships without having access to the actual implements themselves. So for like stone loading, he would take like the end of a barbell and would load up plates and would treat it like a stone, and that's how Zach would train the stone. And he was dominant. He was dominant in his as a lightweight strongman. He is probably the best. Yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to find another 231 pro strongman who was as dominant as Zach McCarley was, winning like 4 or 5 national championships and a world championship, and then also a national level collegiate wrestler. All around nice guy. Masters in chemistry, biochemistry, at least chemistry. He's smart. Don't ask him about cells. He'll talk to you for too long. Ian, what's my bench warm-up consist of? You've been having some tendonitis and scapular pain. Don't do what I do for bench, because I don't do enough. My warm-up usually consists of plate jumps up to 315, and then I take my working sets. I actually warm up more thoroughly, excuse me, despite how bad my bench is. I don't hardly warm up for it. Bicep tendonitis. That's something I've seen hammer curls, light hammer curls, focusing on controlling the eccentric portion. People have anecdotally reported that that's been really helpful for them. Christian, I don't know who that is. I don't know who Clarence Zero is, so I don't have an opinion of them. Sorry. But yeah, Ian, hammer curls, getting a lot of lat activation is really helpful. Taking a mini band, doing dislocations and pull aparts to get your shoulders mobile and to get some activation in those lats. And then just making sure that you take as many warm-up sets as you need. Don't rush into your sets. Don't just copy what someone else is doing. Like if someone tried to copy my bench warm-up, they'd probably hurt themselves because I don't do enough. Partially because my bench is so, relatively speaking, compared to like the normal weights that I'm used to. Using for everything else, it feels light, and that's why it's almost more frustrating that I can't press more. Seagazen, how long do you like to work out when you're doing a higher volume session and moderate intensity session? Depends. My workout times vary drastically. I've had some sessions done in like 45 minutes that are pretty intense. I've had other sessions that go 5 hours that could have been done in 3, depending on, there's so many factors that go into it. Usually I tend to move faster through heavier sessions because there's less volume. Christian, and him going into powerlifting. Clarence Kennedy. The name sounds familiar now, but I still don't know who that is. Kennedy. Olympic lifter, maybe? Is that right? Oh, too much volume. Why I shouldn't have any volume on it at all. Oh, looks like a strong dude. My thoughts are he looks like a strong dude. Good for him. I don't know enough about him to make any other assessments. Blafley, I've always been a conventional deadlifter, and lately finding my lower back fatigue isn't going away from a couple of cycles back. Even after 1 week deload, should I do a cycle with sumo exclusively? By the way, you're running 351. There are a lot of factors that could be contributing to that, man. How's your technique? Would your technique be better with sumo? Would your technique, I mean, are you going to pull like I used to pull years ago? Because that's pretty low back dependent even when it's sumo. Are you going to pull like max tuning pulls? That's pretty intense on your low back regardless, right? So it really depends on a lot of things. Maybe if you're having an issue with the fatigue, see what your sleep's like. What's your nutrition? Are you staying hydrated? Are you taking anti-inflammatories? Are you working on mobilizing in between sessions, or is the only kind of time you're moving through space when you've got yourself loaded up with weight? Those are all things that really have an impact, a pretty direct and significant impact on those things. Adam thinks that for the bench question, you focus on creating a neutral scapular position via soft tissue mobility and smashing. Well, Adam's way better at that stuff than I am, I'll say right now. If you guys want to learn some, y'all want to learn today about positioning, I am a student of Sport Core, which is something that Adam works with, and it's been really pretty beneficial. Whenever something's hurting on me, I usually call Adam, but so I'd say definitely that. Work on your mobility, maybe check out some stuff from Mobility WOD. Was it Ian asked about that, right? About the bench warm-up? Yeah. Even before you get into the session, to take care of some of those issues, clearing out some of the gunk, using lacrosse balls, get a Theracane. I love my Theracane. I'll show you. Here we go. This is Terry the Theracane, getting into that scapula. Tissue release work and trigger point stuff. And again, check out Kelly Starrett to clear up some of that lat and scapular issues. Just type in, basically do a Google search for the anatomy of what's hurting, locate what hurts, type in Mobility WOD on YouTube, and then type in the muscle that the anatomy chart said hurts, and then that should help you get some soft tissue work on anything that's a recurring issue, and then focus with the warm-ups on just making sure that you're taking time for yourself and taking adequate steps outside of the gym to prepare you. Because if you're serious about this and you're putting in a whole lot of work in the gym, it doesn't make any sense to not put a whole lot of work outside the gym to prepare you so that these can go better. Because if you're just suffering here the whole time, there might be something lacking in the other parts of it. Robert, is most of my training percentage based? A fair amount of it for me, because I'm terrible at gauging my own RPE. Just because of how contextual that can be. Like if you did something you think you could get 2 more reps, if you like in a squat set, say you did a set of eight on squat, so it's a relatively light load, you did 8, you said you could do 2 more in the tank. Maybe that's how you're feeling on that day, but what if I had your whole family here with a psychopath with a knife to their neck saying if you don't squat 4 more reps, then they're all gonna, you're sure as heck gonna find out if you can squat 4 more reps, right? So maybe that 8 turns into a 6. So, and that's an extreme example, but it's just an example of how much your mental state and the context of how you're feeling and what your expectations are and how they can shift your physical capabilities. And so I try to focus more on just execution, and so I don't like to regulate my stuff because I might talk myself into something. So I'll have my coaches, if it's, we have some RPE stuff, and I'll ask them if they can if they can help me assess things. With my own lifters, I give them updates every week, and so I regulate for them. So most of the programming that I write is percentage based, and I act as the RPE for them on a week-to-week basis, where I'll say, okay, everything looked a little slow and sluggish last week, so I'm going to change it for you this week. So percents are just a tool, right? There's just the loading that you're using is supposed to feel a certain way. So I don't think that it's bad one way or the other. I think that RPE, like on a theoretical perspective, would be superior if everybody could just shut off their emotional self and was perfect at being completely honest in the moment and accurately assessing their act. It's the rate of your perceived exertion, and your perception changes from set to set depending on so many factors. So I tend to prefer percentage-based work, but I'm not closed off to the idea of utilizing RPE, and I think it's a very valuable tool, and it's something that you should consider even if you're using percentage-based work to rate your sets and get better at the skill of that. I hope that wasn't too drawn out of an answer. I need to do this set. Jesus, hope your day is going well. How many days do you train per week? I train 4 days a week, and it's going pretty well so far. So I was a little bit lazy this morning with getting started on everything, but it seems to be a little more on track now that we're doing this, and I'm feeling okay. So this is technically supposed to be a set. And I'm saying it like that because I don't know if I should belt up or not. I should. I've done plenty of beltless work this cycle, so we're gonna do it. I know Hanny would tell me he'd like me to belt on these, so to appease the coach beast. And since we are 4 weeks? 4 weeks. I think we're 3 or 4 weeks out now. I'm guessing 4. I think 4. 24th, next meet. Chalk first. I can't decide if I want to pull this hook or over under to save my thumbs for the singles. So I chalked for both. I guess we'll see. We'll see what feels right in my shoulders when I'm walking, when I'm going down on the into position. It's a 5, right? Always check your weights. Don't be a dingus like I was last week. No bueno. We'll hook. We'll do hook. Hardest part's the pressure. And staying patient, because I can yank it off the floor, but then I might get out of position. All right, Ian. Oh, first off, did I turn that off? Yes, I did. Would you implement singles at, say, an RPE 7 when trying to get used to using the hook grip? I would use them to warm up. And then singles. For the most part, I tend to only do my singles hooked, unless I'm having like a, top set where I end up doing something extra. But usually try to keep everything to singles, just because it is hard on the thumbs, not just the pressure, but the skin as well. And then a lot of people use straps, but anybody who's been following me for a while knows that we tend to not even use that word on this stream. It's a dirty word. Don't say the S word, friends. Don't say it. It's not worth it. It's not worth your souls. There's a question mark on RPE. That's what I mean. I don't know how so many factors would come in. That wasn't hard, but I was having to really focus on not getting myself out of position. See, guys, and how do you not swing dumbbell? Oh, during pull-ups, chin-ups? Reset at the bottom. So if you can see. So, pull up, down, re-engage, pull up, down, re-engage. It's kind of the opposite of CrossFit style kipping, where the ideal is there you're trying to move fast. You're just completing a movement pattern. But if you're doing pull-ups for training, the idea is to work the muscles involved, right? And I personally like the benefit that goes from going from getting used to get an isometric hold in and engaging your lats and your rhomboids and your entire back, and then creating force after you've created that position. So from a relaxed position to fully engaged, and then do the motion with control. That's how I would do it. Don't speed up. Don't try to speed up through your sets. If you have a set of as many reps as possible, make sure that your reps are quality, so that even if you're getting less reps, you're doing more. See it? No, 2 reps. I didn't create more fatigue. I'm fine. This is the least fatiguing workout that I've done literally in months, just because it's all singles. The only thing that is going to be hard about these are it's a lot of reps if I'm deciding to use my hook grip, where I'm just coming back to it over and over again. But we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. I could probably do these next 4 singles every minute on the minute, if need be. That sounds like a dumb idea, but something kind of fun. Now, coaches will see this. They'll get mad. Don't be a dingus. Shout out to my boy, Ryan Doris. Jonathan, yes, I deadlift twice a week. Currently, we're doing conventionals on Tuesdays and then sumo on Saturdays. And it's been paused up until this session. This is the first session where I'm not doing most of my work paused. So, BRB, go ahead, Seagason. It's okay. That. All right. Singles at 55, 70, and 85. Those are numbers, not percentages. Put a 6 in front of them. Yaya, is it more beneficial to get more work in less time, or do rest periods not matter in terms of building strength? Most of the research I have seen would suggest that rest times... here's the thing. Just from an anecdotal perspective, rest times are more beneficial if you have other things to get to. But if you're sacrificing your technique, your ability to maintain solid positions and perform quality work, because you're trying to rush through everything when you could take more time, then you're not getting the same quality of work, even if it's done faster, even if it's intense, if you're hyped up and you're trying to go through it intense. So make sure the work you're doing is to the best standard that you're able to do. And then the rest periods kind of take care of themselves. In powerlifting, you're going to get 10 to 15 minutes between attempts at a meet for a single. So short rests are not incredibly specific for our sport, but it is, in my opinion, good practice to get good at warming up quickly, because there have been many occasions where I get rushed through my warm-ups. And when you go out to perform, if you're used to taking 45 minutes to an hour to warm up and you have 15 minutes to warm up, then you're going to see that negatively affect you because you're not prepared for it. So I would suggest improving your conditioning just so you can warm up as quickly as you need to, but then taking the time necessary to perform the lifts to the best of your ability, maintaining good positions, and focusing on that as your priority concern, because rest periods are not something that is usually specifically a limiting factor for powerlifting. Heath. Hello, sir. Welcome back. I used to work with Heath, friends. Hey, Ben, after having always pulling mixed grip on deadlifts over a long time, I noticed there's some sort of imbalance between the two sides, like bicep and underhand stronger in the front. Example, what would be some tips to remedy that? But more bicep work on the offhand. Find out where the muscular imbalances are manifesting themselves, in terms of, like, if you have more hypertrophy built up on one arm, then try to work the other one in that way. The other way is to just kind of go into something like the hook grip or do more work neutral. That's my advice. Like, what does it make? Does it make a difference in terms of progression whether I get my 5x5 done in 10 minutes instead of 20 or 30 minutes? Again, it doesn't make a huge... Your conditioning will vary, but conditioning doesn't have a whole lot to do with your maximum strength potential, because we're not a sport based on power as much as it's power's in the name, but like Olympic lifting is more generating power. We're about maximum strength, and maximum strength doesn't have... if your rest periods are taking longer than 15 minutes, then that's when you start pushing past specificity. But any faster than that, other than, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, the chaos factor, being able to warm up quickly, And you know, staying in it, like a lot of that comes into how much prep work you do in terms of how much mobility you do out of the session too, to keep yourself fresh and limber and able to move, be supple. That's all factors in that. But in terms of getting work done in a short time domain, it's an example of kind of fitness. It's not usually a limiter on maximum strength output, but you have to, if you are sacrificing your ability to maintain, like if you can do 5x5 really fast, but you could do those 25 total lifts better with better technique and with generating more force and holding better positions in 20 or 30 minutes, then I would say 20 or 30 minutes, take the time to do it right. Don't try to rush through it just to get it done. If you're on a time crunch, then you have to work with what you've got. So, Jesus, how's your 4-day-a-week routine structured? Do you have a squat day 1, day 2 bench, deadlift day 3? Monday is squats and bench press. Tuesday is bench press and conventional deadlift. Wednesdays are off. Thursdays are squats and bench press. Fridays off. Saturdays are sumo deadlift and bench press. And then I have accessories for each of those and different variants. Like this is the first time I've mentioned a few times that I'm not pausing all these reps. But it changes depending on all that stuff. Blaffily, benefits of a home gym: can do a 3 to 5 hour workout. I'm jealous. When I worked out at the rec center, I had workouts that were 5 hours long. You just have to, make time for it and get there. We all have to adjust to our circumstances. Never use your circumstances as an excuse just because it doesn't affect anybody but you, right? If your circumstances are your own, the only person that's going to suffer from you, even if your excuse is valid, because I've got plenty of things that I would say, like, this is a justified reason for me to not be able to do this thing. But the fact that I didn't do it is still the fact that I didn't do it. And so it's important to maintain that kind of honest but forgiving and understanding relationship with yourself. That's like saying, this is an extreme example. You try to be courteous at LA Fitness. You can be is the gym closing on you? Is that it? Or talking about taking up equipment? Always offer to work in. That's courtesy. When I worked at the rec center, we had 2 squat racks. I would always offer anybody who's staring at it, they asked how many I had, I would offer to let them work in. That's courteous. That's courteous. But if you have something you need to do, if you have the work that you're supposed to get done, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. Or you don't do it, and that's fine. Then you just have to be prepared to understand the results that come from those things. Taking up equipment. Yeah, offer to work in with people. Problem solved. There you go. Hooks are just a little rusty. Generally, in most of this work, I've only been working up to like 1 hook set a week. That may or may not be the most annoying loading I've ever had to do. 670. Just give me 675, boys. Come on. Adam asks, can I talk about energy leakage during a lift, where it can come from? I think my followers may be able to learn from it since I talk about positioning a lot. Yeah, the idea of when you take a non-optimal position, you're having to work harder and you're less efficient in the movement itself. So if you have the same amount of, the exact same amount of strength between two lifters, and one of them has better technique and the other one has poor technique that's inefficient, the one with better technique will always lift more. Sometimes the person who has worse technique just happens to be stronger, and they might be able to lift more, but they're having to work way harder. So if you, as an individual, take your level of strength and utilize it as efficiently as possible with the best position and the best technique, where you're not wasting energy on any extra movement or extra having to stabilize something because you've lost control of it and have to re-engage it, that's when people are really losing some things. So I hope that's an adequate answer, Adam. He's quizzing me because this is the kind of stuff he and I talk about when I come up and visit. So you guys can cook some pasta right now for the stream. 99 cents for shipping. Oh man, I don't even really eat pasta all that much. I don't like cooking. I think some of you guys know that. Some of you guys know that I can't stand the act of cooking. It's not fun for me. Jonathan, with all the pausing you've done, how much do you feel all the pausing has helped with deadlifts? A ton. My control, my starting position, everything feels easy right now. Anything that doesn't look easy is just a matter of my thumbs being a little less conditioned to handle the pressure and me being as used to the discomfort. But that won't be a factor when I'm at the meet, because I've only got to do it 3 times, and I'll be in a place where I'm not thinking about my thumbs then. So I think it's really beneficial. I think that it really teaches you to maintain positions in the suckiest part of the lift and then to generate force where you normally would have to be patient anyway. I've heard some criticism saying that pause work doesn't make sense to people because why would you create a sticking point where there wasn't one before? There was one before. If you don't think that that's where most people are losing their energy, like 99% of people are rushing the start and are not being patient, and they're pulling themselves out of position to try and get speed out of the bottom, and then they get to the top and they say, oh, my lockout sucks. No, most of the time, 99% of the time, your start is horrible, and you're sacrificing position for momentum. You get to the top and you're having to do a thoracic extension under a maximum load, and that's why you see those guys struggle bussing. So if they fix their start by being more patient and slowing the tempo down and making sure you get through the first 2 or 3 inches in as perfect position as possible, it makes the ending a lot faster. And once you've cleared that first couple of inches, you can accelerate more safely, because you can just try to put speed on the bar and maximize your force. Because once you've already gotten past that toughest part, same thing with the bottom of a squat, once you get past the first 2 inches of the reversal, it's almost impossible to get out of position when you're generating force if you've made it to that point in a good position, because you've gotten through the part where if there was any breakdown going to happen, it would probably going to happen there. And then once you've made it past that point, you can accelerate as fast as you can, as fast as you can, as fast as you can, and put more speed on the bar. I've worked with countless lifters in person where I'll say smooth and fast, and that's the only cue I give them in the workout, and their speed and their lockouts doubles in effectiveness. It looks night and day different with that one cue where you're sitting there, they start pulling, say smooth, smooth, fast, 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 and you try to get them to pull faster, and you will see, and I have seen, I can't guarantee if you're going to be as good at coaching yet, but I have seen people in one workout with no other real cues completely improve their positioning and their ability to pull and not leak energy. So, Blaffley, I've tried pausing on the deadlift and noticed after the pause I have a slight dip on the bar before I power through. That means you're losing position. Don't do that. Lighten the weight so that you don't do that, because what's happening there is you're anticipating it and you're relaxing and trying to build momentum. Stop and then restart the movement. Have more control. You don't need as much weight on the bar. You're trying to refine the movement. So take weight off the bar until you can do it right, and then add weight as you can do it and have that control. It sucks for the ego, but it's great for the pull. So if you want your ego now to feel better, then don't do pause deads. They'll make you feel bad about yourself. If you want your ego to feel better at the meet or down the line once you've been able to implement those things, I think it's the way to go. So sacrifice, that's what sacrifice and suffer in this moment for the payoff later is kind of the mark of most people who are committed and really achieve. So Adam, yes, well said. Start determines the end capabilities. Exactly. See, I'm learning. I'm internalizing it all. Jonathan, yeah, pause deadlifts is my favorite variation. I've been doing them for quite some time, and I feel they do help a ton. Yep, I tried to convey that to some people on Facebook the other day who were just not okay with the idea of them. And it's almost like they were taking it personally, that people were doing them, thinking that it was kind of a fad or like trendy. And I didn't really understand where the negativity was coming from, because it's not like it's not like I benefit from you choosing to do pause deadlifts or not doing pause deadlifts, right? Like it doesn't affect me directly at all. Not you, the viewer, but just the general person. So it was really weird to me that these guys were getting really upset about something that literally didn't affect them. Oh. Next set. Hooah! Randy Orton sneaking up behind you. Watch out. I'm okay, CKs. I'm okay. Always double check your weights. Always double check your weights. Oh man, wouldn't I love to get some more 45s? Those 35 loadings are just goofy looking. Hour in. Okay. Only limiting factor so far would be how uncomfortable I would feel. That's a puppy. Hello. Hey, what are you doing here? Where's your mom and dad? Huh? Hey, girl. Come here. Come here. It's okay. It's okay. All right. We're going to take you back to your house. We'll be right back, friends. We'll be right back. Sorry about that. Oh, benefits of a home gym. Sometimes you get you get visitors. At least it wasn't chickens this time, and at least I wasn't in the middle of a bench press and getting freaked out. That Randy Orton thing is way funnier now to me because I was getting sneaked up on. Oh, man. It's too nice out to close the garage door, though. So, Seagaze, and how good was I at League of Legends? I wasn't very good, man. I had really good understanding of the macro game and of math knowledge, but I had really terrible mechanics. And so I'd know where I should be, and I would get really frustrated at my own hands for not being able to make it happen. So, and that's actually why I stopped playing, because I understood the amount of work that I would need to be more competitive and to get as good as I wanted to be. And so I had to make the choice to just become an esports fan instead of an esports player, I guess. An e-athlete. An e-athlete. Sounds silly, but I ain't ashamed. So you guys, and why do you think there's a lot of free content from elite powerlifters and bodybuilders online? A lot of people trying to build their brand. I don't know. It's more. I think so many of the answers are not super secretive. They're not the kind of thing that, like, it's a meme, it's a joke to say, like, oh, he has that one secret, because there is not a whole lot of secrets. It's kind of a community of people who sort of get it, and the people who are impatient and want answers fast and want shortcuts to things, like, those don't tend to work very well. And so most of the information out there is make your decisions based off of effort. It's really hard to monetize the idea of selling effort to people, telling them that you just have to work hard and make good decisions, that once you learn the basics, things are pretty simple. So I don't know, I think people would have a really hard time, and some people do. Some people, some people really, really charge a lot for their information. But then it's really easy to undercut that, because the information they're giving tends to not be as good, because they have to make it special. If you're charging a whole lot of money for something, people have to come up with a gimmick so that when you get the information, that you're like, oh, I didn't know this wasn't something that was obvious. Well, most of the time it's pretty obvious. Add weight over time, manage your fatigue, volume is important over time. Managing it is important, because if you try to push too hard too fast, you're going to get hurt. So just work really hard, but don't do dumb things, and put your ego on the backseat. I think that's really the secret to getting better, and it's really hard to monetize that, because people hear that and go, well, yeah, but what else, right? Yeah, everyone knows that, but that's it. It's too simple otherwise. That's what I would reckon. That's my guess, my guesstimate. I'll make sure I'm not increasing any pressure with that. Looser. See if that helps with the excess pressure. Alec, I do a bunch of mobility and stretching for my hamstrings. For my old hips, my body, I made a video a while back called Sacrifice to Win, and it was just 30 straight minutes of me rolling out on the barbell that I keep in my squat rack, because those are the kinds of sacrifices most people won't make. And anybody who's like excited to lift weights can come in and do a workout and then go home and forget about it. But the real sacrifice is what you're doing when you're not in the gym, because that's the stuff that makes what you're doing in the gym more effective. It's the doing mobility, it's monitoring, getting enough sleep. That's my biggest freaking, going to bed on time. I have no problem waking up early, but I have such a nightmarish time going to bed at a decent hour, because I get so engaged in everything. Silly brain just wants to activate at night. Nutrition, keeping hydrated, drinking enough water, and not doing other bad things, like that's the real sacrifice. You're the true Gandalf, Ben. No, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy who's messed up enough times to know better now. Adam, simple. Squat well, bench well, pull well, movement matters. Yeah. Do it right. Do it right. Do it right for long enough. Good points there. Well, I hope so, Seagaze. I'm trying my best to share this information, because that's all I try to share all this stuff for free too. But there is a donation option. I'm just kidding. Jonathan, I have one more question on the earlier topic of pause deadlifts. Since you implemented pause deadlifts, do you know how much weight you added to your deadlift max since doing them? I've done them for so long, it'd be really hard to say. I would say that was probably the biggest thing that took my deadlift from when I initially went from around like high 6s to low to mid 7s. I think pause deadlifts it wasn't the lift. It wasn't the lift, because no lift is going to do anything to help you out if it's not helping you improve in the correct way. Pause deadlifting was a tool to help me identify breakdowns in my technique and then to target them specifically and to work on removing them. It's just a tool to use to get to that end. If you're in perfect position the entire time and you don't have any breakdown off the ground and you're the most patient puller in the world already, and you just have to get stronger, then you may not need or benefit greatly from implementing pause deadlifts. You might benefit greatly because they give you a variation where you're using a lower intensity and getting an equated amount of work and putting effort into that thing. So you're getting more with less weight, which can be potentially less wear and tear on your connective tissue, which doesn't recover as quickly. But for the most part, it's the pause deads themselves didn't do it. Me implementing the things that those help me to focus on and work on is what helps the deadlift. Maybe that's why people were getting upset about it, because they were missing that point. Maybe I should have made that point. A lot of times, guys, I swear, when we're having these talks and we're going over these topics, like I don't pre-plan the answers. And sometimes I don't. One of my favorite quotes, and I've said it in a bunch of videos and things, is that it is a helpful way to live your life to follow those who seek the truth and question those who say they have already found it. Anytime someone says, "No, I've got all the answers," they're probably trying to sell you something, because there's no humility in that. And there's no that person isn't open to the idea that they could learn more. And so that's something I encourage all of you to do, is to be open to the idea of learning more. And when you're answering questions, a lot of the times I think what can be beneficial is to try to better understand it through conversations. And if you say something that doesn't make sense to you, then maybe your perspective or your opinion could use some shifting, because you don't understand the idea well enough to explain it to another person. So if you're ever trying to argue with somebody, instead of telling them your point, sometimes it's more useful and more effective to ask them questions and see how well their point holds up to scrutiny. Because if they can answer all your questions, maybe they're more right than you believe they are. And if they can't, maybe they'll start to change their mind. Because you can never tell. We're totally off, and my brain is going this direction right now, but I'm going to stay with it. You can't yell at somebody or tell them they're wrong and get them to believe you. The only way you can convince someone of something is to let them come to that conclusion on their own, but you can guide them to that conclusion. And I think that's the more effective tact when trying to talk about an idea. To tell someone just flat out that they're wrong isn't usually going to get the point across. It's going to put them on the defensive. It's going to make them resistant to anything you say that might end up being factually backed and truthful. The intent matters and the approach matters. So I guess that's kind of the reason why I try to have this sort of a relationship with you guys when we're doing this, is to people ask questions and I give the best answer that I understand. But if I say something and then I learn later that there's a better understanding or there's something that makes more sense, then I'm open to changing the way I think about things for that. Morning, how much are you about to lift? Get to it. I've got 685 on the bar, so 2 singles here at RPE thumbs. I think, is what we're going to end up this being. Adam says, if you're someone who has less than optimal positioning, pause deadlifts will quickly expose some great points. Thanks, brother. Alec, opinion on the Matt Ogus Benrice shout-out video. It's my favorite video on YouTube. I mean, biasly so, because every time I watch it, it reminds me of the because I'm not the person that Abdullah describes me as in that video. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you guys just check out Matt Ogus Benrice shout-out video and hear this Australian guy rant about how awesome I am for 8 minutes. And I mean, it's really flattering. I'm not nearly the kind of I'm not a good enough person to live up to that standard, but I use it as an idea. That's my favorite video because that's the person I want to be, and the fact that someone feels, you know, it was one of the first times where I thought maybe maybe I am too critical on myself, because if this is the effect I can have on some people in a positive way, and it can give, and it's funny. I thought it was a joke at first, but when I talked to him, he said, no, I meant every word of it. I think it inspires me because it shows me that I would love to be described in the way that he talked about, and have it be more accurate than it is. Like, have that be, yeah, I can say that I am that person all the time, because I'm just a guy. I'm flawed. I'm a deeply flawed person, and I think one of the only differences between me and a lot of other deeply flawed people is that I'm hyper aware of it, and I'm very interested in improving those aspects. All right, let's lift the weights. Let's lift the weights, shall we, boys? Let's do the thing. Do the lift things. Good time. This, and then I think next week we work up to a moderate, like a 725 single, and I think that's the heaviest we go until the meet. And then who knows what's going to happen. That'll be crazy days. So this shouldn't be too hard, but at the same time, if you don't respect these kind of weights, they can ruin your whole day. So let's try to focus in. RPE thumbs. Baby, that was 685. 685 on the bar. 2 singles here. Ugh. Very comfy. I mean, comfy in terms of like strength-wise. Uncomfy in terms of that was the 7th lift with the hook grip. And thumbs are starting to get a little worn out. No, that wasn't 6.8. That was 685 on the bar. I don't have enough 45s. This is all my 45s and a 35 and a 10 and a 5. See, guys, and this is still the garbage tape? No. Garbage tape is over there. We don't talk about that. We went and got the Ace. I'm terrible. Why can't my ability to demonstrate this? Just some Ace tape. And then on the right thumb, because this one's still torn from the 750 I did last week, is a little bit more of the Hartman AC tape, which is bae, just because it's flexible. Alec, do I think I'll have a shot for first at nationals this year? I'm moving up a class that's going to be pretty stacked. My goal for nationals is to have the best meet that I possibly can. That's just what it's going to come down to. I think that I still have a lot of work that I need to do. I don't know where my lifts will be by then. So hopefully I'll be able to be competitive. But I don't have any illusions that I'm going to be able to catch up to everybody else who's had a few years in the weight class and just assuming that I'm not that arrogant, I guess. I'm going to try my best to put myself in the best position to be competitive and get to share the stage with my friends. That's what I'm most excited about. In terms of placement, I can never control that. Someone else can, someone else could just show up. See, Garrett Blevins, Mr. Blevins here. Who knows what he's going to do? Who knows what he's going to do? So I just want to share the stage with my friends. That's my goal. And I want everybody to have their best meet possible, because it would feel real crappy to come in and have, be the 10th strongest guy there and have 9 other guys mess up, and that's why you win. That's not, I wouldn't feel good about that. Swoops, I think you answered the question before, but I forgot the answer. How often do you deadlift heavy over 70%? Depends on where I am in the training block. For this particular block, we had me hitting... actually, over 70%. I never train under 70%, I would say. I'll be very hard-pressed. Maybe once. I'm trying to think what the lightest working sets I've done in the last year were. I might have trained a couple of weeks, but my max wasn't reflective of my capabilities at the time. So not very often. Usually 70 to the low 80% range, and then now we're getting ready for a meet, so I'm allowed to go a little heavier, and still not all that heavy. We're floating just around 90% right now, but they're singles, and I feel pretty decent. So, not enough 45s, Ben Rice problems. Yeah, poor boy problems. Ooty pooty. Hey Ben, any relationship advice? You have to put on your own oxygen mask first. To be a good match for somebody, try to be the best person that you can. Focus on improving yourself, not just focus on yourself and your own problems, because when you're in a relationship, you're making a commitment that someone else's problems are going to be on your priority list as well. But focus on constantly trying to improve yourself, and that will, in terms of every aspect, and the way that you communicate with your partner, the way that you communicate with the people that you encounter, be open to learning, be open to changing for the better, and don't fall into the trap of thinking that your understanding of the world right now is the absolute truth, and that you don't have the opportunity to learn more and grow more in the future. If you focus on that, most relationships will either reveal themselves to not be the right thing for you at this time, or you're able to work through things together because you're honed in enough and committed enough to improving yourself, so that it's worth maybe having someone else along. So, but avoid codependency, avoid the nature of relationships that pull you away from being able to work on yourself. And it should be like when someone describes a relationship of having two halves that are making a whole person, it should be two totally functioning whole people that come together to make one super awesome combination of people. You can't be expected to give more than you're able to give, and you can't ask for more. You can't ask for more than the other person can give. So you have to put on your own oxygen mask first. You have to clean your own room first. You have to take care of the things you need to take care of. Swoops, relationship advice on a powerlifting site. Hashtag Ben problems. Honestly, the lifting, if I just wanted to lift, I wouldn't open this up and have a live stream about it. I think that my real, and there's plenty of other people that you guys could go to and hang out if you're just wanting to watch some lifting. But I try to be something that's maybe a little bit more, not putting anybody else down. It's just that this is a vessel. This is a tool that I use to center my own life, but it's not about the weights, because it's just weights. It's just weights. That's all it is. That's a thing. I pick it up, I move it through space, I put it down. The only reason it's important to me is because I allow it to be important to me, and I make it something bigger within myself. And there's a group of people that makes it something bigger than just the arbitrary act of picking something up and putting it down. Because powerlifting is not something that I would consider, at a high level, is not a healthy outlet. It's healthier than some other outlets, but it's to such an extreme that it's not something I would classify as like, I'm doing this to benefit my health. No, you're beating your body up and trying your best to keep ahead of it so that it doesn't outrun you. But it can be something that's way more powerful if that's what you allow it to become, and if you use it responsibly and make it something. So you guys like that? Well, I'm glad you find that helpful. Hashtag clean your bloody room. Yep. If it's not clear, I've definitely been chatting and learning a little bit in terms of Mr. Jordan Peterson, some of his philosophies. Alec, how much money would it take for you to star in a porno? I wouldn't do it. I have too many moral and ethical issues with it. I don't judge people who take that route in their life, but it's not something I'd personally be doing. Greg, hey Ben, I'm back, baby. Welcome back, baby. Glad to be here. Actually, Alex, funny. I've had people. You guys are familiar with kind of the gay for pay scene through strength athletes, or more often with bodybuilders, I think, where people will say, "Oh, I'll give you this money to do this thing," and I think that my price line at this point is, sorry, man, I'm flattered, but it's never going to happen. So. Glad to be here. I'm currently doing Shaco, the CMS program. I realize it's like a 20-week program or something. Is that correct? There's so many. He's got so many out there, man. Boris released a whole bunch of stuff. So the ones that I'm familiar with are 4 to 6 weeks long. Udi, we're very familiar with gay for pay. Well, I don't know if everybody is. I don't know who's watching. I don't know who's gonna see this in the future. Left the camera on. Silly Ben. All right, last single, and then we got the one back off double before we move to the benches. And I'm still a slow boy. Let's tighten this up a little bit, see if that helps the thumbs not feel quite as gnarly. Oh, man. So we'll do this last one hooked, and then I'll do an over-under for the double, just because I don't know. I would be rather impressed if my thumbs went from feeling a little bit beat up and trashed to not feeling as bad on the last set. But it's happened before, so who knows. Shape your perception, kids. Change your perception and your expectations. That'll determine how you process pain. I guarantee you, if this was a world record on the bar, I would not feel pain in my thumbs, no matter how bad they were hurting, because my focus would be elsewhere. So let's redirect that focus on the pain, shall we? into quality positions. Fun. Fun, fun, fun. Well, the pain tolerance is done for the day. Now all we have to do is manage the inherently suboptimal positions that come from me putting a hand under. Where are we at? 35, 45. I think, right? Is that what I have written down? Yes, that's right. Good one, Trebek. Oof. There we go. Now we're starting to get some feeling back. Oh, the pressure. Okay. See you guys and Greg. 1,000 plus deadlift coming or what? Born we would all do it for a meal? I wouldn't. I'm a poor boy. I'm not broke, I'm poor. And I'm okay with that. I'd rather be poor and content than rich and feel bad about choices. Alec, do you feel sitting between sets affects your performance? Probably a little bit. Sometimes I kick the chair out of the way and stretch. But I don't like to just lean on things. I don't know. As long as I'm able to, I think the real performance comes from my break and focus, just because I do struggle to get it back, but I've been getting better at it, and this is good practice for me, because when I go to a meet, I tend to have people who ask me questions and I try to be an ambassador to the sport, right? So I don't want to tell someone, hey, not now, I don't want to talk. And I've had to in the past, because I haven't been able to manage my, kind of my inner focus ability, so that's something I work on every day. Beautiful, smoothful. Roshan, what's my lifetime deadlift PR goal? No idea. Most that I'm able to get in this with this body in this life, whatever the most is that I'm able to do, I want to get to that someday. Swoops, nope, wasn't paused. Shouldn't have been paused. If it was paused, I was just really slow off the ground. Yeah, Garrett. The skin is still connected. This one didn't open up again. I was nervous because I tore this whole thing, had a big chunk. I didn't take a picture because you guys have all, if you follow my Instagram, you know what it looks like when I tear a callus on my hook grip. It's been there, done that. Yeah, swoops. Nothing's supposed to be Nothing's supposed to be paused right now. So you guys know what are the specs of my belt? It's just a Inzer Forever Lever 13 millimeter from 2007, 2008, I think. I think I got this thing in 2008. I don't know what size it is. Maybe medium. I've had the same. I haven't changed the. Oh, this is not a stock lever though. This is one my roommate Will gave me. It's chromed out. You see the glisten maybe. Sometimes when I get to the top, it's shiny. Just because the other one, this little nubbins here was wearing into the thing. So it had never broke, but it was like wearing down at the point where it could potentially break in the future, and I just didn't want to mess with it. Adam pimping out the brand. If anyone doesn't own a Ben Rice t-shirt, you all know what to do. They're over there. They're over there in storage boxes so they don't get dusty, if anybody wants one. Dalton, what's my favorite music to listen to outside of the gym? Are you still with your singing group? Sorry, not sure what it's called. We're a singing group. It's 6 of us. We don't use instruments, so we're an a cappella group technically. I like to listen to a lot of different kinds of music. I'm pretty eclectic in my tastes. I did study music for 7 years at Central Washington University. All sorts of music, from classical to... Classical is just... we classify everything before kind of modern and contemporary music as classical, but it's like Baroque and Romantic period and Renaissance period. All these different periods of time with music, and I'm pretty familiar with all of them. And I've pretty much found something in every genre of music. I've at least found one piece of music that I can enjoy, some more than others, but I still owe Adam a Metallica rendition. Yeah, he's been telling me to do a Metallica cover for probably since high school now, I think. Definitely since college when I learned how to play the piano. Oh, yeah. Where are we at? Swoops, knee sleeves for deadlifting, yay or nay? I'm currently wearing them because I'm still working through my knee issues they've gotten way better. Adam and I we had a call the other night and we're working on some mobility stuff, and the fact that the volume's coming down my knee is not as restrictive. Last training block going into the Arnold, like 2 months out, it was pretty bad. I think what we narrowed it down to, Adam and I threw over the phone figuring it out, is that I've got my pelvis is misaligned, potentially. I've got my TFL back here is short, pulling the pelvis up. Keeps the hamstring tight, keeps the knee in terminal extension. My T-bands are all gunked up, hamstrings are too tight, pulls on the popliteus, which is the little muscle on the back of the knee, which the inflammation of that all being tight is causing things to never be able to relax, and it's maybe irritating the bursa. It's just all sorts of things going on where it's like, oh, my knee hurts, but it's actually some goofy stuff going up through here in my pelvis. So currently I am, for my deadlifts, I tend to wear, I wear knee sleeve, just not my tight competition knee sleeves, I just wear some loose knee sleeves to keep some mild compression on it. So that's my answer, I guess. It's not to benefit the lift. It's more just dealing with something that's specific to me right now. Dalton, sounds like I have a really simple problem. Yeah, exactly. I wish it was simple. And the first time I did, I was doing 2 hours of mobilization work every day. So it was one of those things, like, it worked, but it was really, okay, what worked? I did everything. I did everything, and it was a non-sustainable amount of work. Born Against Hate, wow, good for you. It's like a donkey dick for $1 million. I just think of the good I could do for that much. Right, but in terms of ends and means and justification, I don't know, man. I wouldn't judge you for making that choice. It's just a different choice that I would make. I'm not gonna say that the temptation for that money, like money is something that can be a very tempting thing. I'm too proficient at existing without money, though, to be swayed by a one-time sum for something that I would end up not feeling settled with on a moral or ethical level for myself. If I loved the person and I was committed to them in a relationship, that's a different story. But that's also not what the question was. Alec, do I live with my girlfriend? I do not. She lives in Kent. I live currently in Montesano. I'm going to be moving to that area within the next year. And so I don't. I see her when I can. We lived very near each other when we were going to Central at the same time, and then she finished and I moved here. So I'm stalling on this last set. I don't know why. There's no reason to stall. You should just do it. Just do it. Like a Nike ad. Oh, I don't even want to put the belt on. It almost seems more like a hassle belt. Well. I apologize in advance for the position of this one, because I can already feel the lat wanting to. Try to keep that underhand activated so it doesn't get loose and start pitching the bar forward. Which is the main reason I switched to hook grip, but I'm not trying to do a double right now with that. I already did this for a double with the hook. And my thumbs are all swole. Was going to be trying real hard not to let it pitch, and it worked. Huzzah! Get up off with that thing. All right, now the most fun of the workout. Every time use all 3 of these ones. So. Put this here. That's where those go. Shoulders are interesting. Oh boy. Let go, we did it. Good night. Good night, Born. Thanks for posting nice love. Thank you, sir. Alec, how far out from a meet should I be doing heavy singles and how often? Depends on you as a lifter. Some of my lifters I have not play around with heavy singles. And currently, we haven't done anything in my training that I would even classify in terms of like relative heavy. I mean, last week, but we had me on for weeks and weeks in a row where I had a weight cap. I'd say a month out. I mean, if I had to give just a general answer, and I really hesitate to try and do that because it should be different for everybody depending on how comfortable you are with things, how you respond, how much volume you need, how confident or how good of an understanding you have of your body, how quickly you can adapt to different kinds of training stimulus, and how much kind of kicking up your CNS may need. I think that throughout the training season, it's can be useful to implement things like sub-maximal singles, just almost like overwarm sets I've done in the past, where you kind of warm up a little past your work sets, do something a little bit heavier, and then back off, do your regular back off work. But I'd say if you're not doing something like that, maybe a month. Again, super generic answer, which I don't like to usually give for individuals, but that's the one I'd say. See, Gason, how long until the meet? Like, how long am I? My meet's June 24th. We're doing a local in Linwood, Washington. So anybody who wants to come up and hang out and say hi, it's literally at Locals Gym in Linwood, Washington. Gonna compete and just see what we got on that day. Oh, I'm too sweaty to put these on. Not even that sweaty. It's just how. Burn! Hello, Robert. You'll be able to catch some vent, exactly. Solid, Ben. They look real clean. Thanks, Garrett. Love you, brother. I'll check in. I told you that I was going to let you know when I was done, so when I'm done with this is when I'm done for the night, but you might be heading to bed or something. Say hi to the wife and the little baby for me. Yes, Ian. How long do the meet? It's June 24th, so I think we're 4 weeks out, 3 weeks out, whatever that ends up being. What, because next week's like the 12th or something? I don't know. I'd like to attend, but I'm literally broke and unemployed. Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. I'm not saying people need to come. I'm gonna lift the same whether people come or not. Just if people want to come, they're welcome to. I wouldn't be mad at someone showing up. So bench tonight. Oh, I already did it. We slowed down there. Warm-ups were on fast enough, but gangster wraps. I lent mine to the. Do I still have? Yeah. Oh, they gave them back. I got the gangster wraps back. I prefer the thumb loop on the SBDs. That's the only reason I use these and not those. I like Mark stuff. But I prefer the thumb loop on this. Get up off of that thing. Robert would come, but from Toronto. Rip Bible thump. No worries, man. No worries. Maybe someday I'll be able to make it out to Toronto. Although, Adam moved down to New Orleans, my whole excuse to go up to Canada. Gone. Slingshot? What about it, Seagason? I have one. It's back there, too. I think. Where is it? I know I have it somewhere around here. Haven't used it in a minute. Yeah. Ta-da! Won it in a contest. Huzzah! Stuck in my head. Come here, little Clampy. Clampy. It's probably the least biomechanically advantageous way to put that plate on. New Orleans is aight. Well, eventually, Adam, when I come and visit you, you're going to have to take me out and show me all the good jambalaya places. Because I'm excited for that. Some Creole cooking. Soul food. Huzzah. On your shirt, because you said you like Mark's stuff. You're off the team, I heard. This I got from the Arnold. This was the shirt, the competitor shirt they gave us for the pro deadlift event. So, probably off the team because I tore a callus. Sorry, Mark. Sorry, Mark. I like Mark. He's a nice friend. Nice friend, man. Nice man. Dalton, do you find without streaming or doing something between your sets, you rush your workout? I have to take uni notes or something, or else I find I don't take enough time and my technique suffers. No. Because I base my rest times on when I'm ready to go back and do the next set. I also track how long it takes. I have a timer that's going, and I write down my intervals for training, so I have a pretty decent gauge about when I should be doing it, based on how I have done it in the past, kind of what my recovery tends to be like. And I tend to take longer than I need during the streams, because I have the more readily available justification that I'm talking to you guys, which I love. That's why I do this. If I thought it was negatively impacting my ability to prepare and perform, then I probably wouldn't do it. So I think that it's one of those things where I like this setup. But the fact I don't do it for my squat workouts. Like I tend to, it's very rare for me to stream a squat workout, and I won't do it unless I missed one of these. But you're out, Adam. Well, good night, brother. Good night. Good luck. Keep doing your thing down there. Rooting for you. Thoughts and prayers, brother, always. So, yeah, Dalton, I think Maybe my body just kind of naturally, my response of when I'm ready is like, oh, I feel like I can handle this weight properly now. But so, Jason, could you explain more mechanics of plate loading? Like when you said it's better to have them stacked up close together. If I remember correctly. Oh, just the physics of the bar, right? If the weight is distributed further out towards the ends of the bar, then the bar is going to have more flex in the middle, right? There's the leverage point when you pick it up from the middle. The outsides are more heavily weighted, so you're going to get more bend and flex in the bar. Even with a stiffer bar, that's how it works. And so if you're constantly training with a bar that's more flexible and the plates are always out because they're thicker and wider, then you're going to have more flex in the beginning of the pull. And then if you go to a meet with a stiffer bar and the plates are all closer together, it's going to come up more at the same time. I could go into more detail, but if you get the point with that, that's the simplest answer. Is the closer the plates are, the less the bar whips. The further out the plates are away from the center of the bar, it puts that leverage out there. The lever arm's bigger and the bar will have more bend or whip in it. And you don't want it oscillating when it's on your back. You don't want it oscillating when it's in your hand. For a deadlift, though, it's nice to get an extra couple of inches where the bar is bending before you have to take the entire load of all of the weight when the plates clear the ground, because you only have part of that weight in your hands floating in space when there's still plates in contact with the floor. When the weights are further out, you get more bend in the middle. Those plates are in contact longer. You're able to get yourself in slightly better of a position closer up to the top, and it kind of cuts the range of motion without cutting the range of motion, if that makes sense. I need to do a warm-up single here because I already wrapped my wrists, so that's what I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Dalton. Okay, maybe it comes with experience, still finding out how long I personally need. Yeah, just the fastest way to figure it out is probably to track it. Is probably to keep track just so you have a gauge of like, oh, and take notes. Like it took me this long, or I rested this long, and my technique wasn't good. And then why wasn't your technique good? It felt like the weight was too heavy. I felt like I couldn't maintain control throughout the entire set. I felt like I was under-recovered. Those kind of notes are things you can look at and reference, and within a couple of weeks you kind of start to figure out what your what your rhythm is, and then it can change, right? That's not always going to necessarily be how you are as a lifter. You can increase your conditioning and maybe be able to move a little faster. If you have time constraints, then that's a great way to train, is to move as fast as you can and still, ideally, so that you're not wasting time, you want to move as quickly as you're able to without sacrificing technique, right? With making sure your positions are solid and making sure that every single set you take is a worthwhile set where you're learning and enforcing good habits and not practicing bad habits. Blah, 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 habits. I'm not tired. Maybe I'm a little sleepy tired. I didn't get to bed again early enough last night, but I still made myself wake up. And then Chester, the Supreme Overlord Kitty Biscuit, wanted naps today, so I couldn't. I had to give some cuddles. Simply Strong. I have long arms. In your opinion, should bench grip be wide or narrow? Oh, it's so individual, my friend. Tried wider to cut run, but feels like I don't have as much drive compared to narrow grip. Yep. Some people feel that way. You're more exposed, right? The difference is you're less compacted. You're more, everything's extended. Where here everything's really bound up, so you can feel like you're tighter. You feel like you can generate more force, like you're putting together a spring, where you probably aren't as used to getting tension when you're in this extended open position. So I'm not going to say like one of them is objectively better, because you can learn to develop more tension and hold more tension in a wider position versus that. But definitely I feel that pain. For years when I first injured my shoulder, I competed with a close, like hands touching the smooth, close grip bench press. And I still feel better off my chest with that, but it's just so much extra range of motion. So my advice is, if you are a long arm lifter and you're trying to like find out, maybe play around with some different bench grip widths in your normal training. But when it comes time to compete, whatever grip you are the strongest with for that meet, compete with that grip for that meet, and then continue to work on building your overall bench, because bench is one of the lifts that really benefits a lot from upper body hypertrophy. And so doing different variations is going to hopefully help you pack on more upper body mass, and that can increase your bench. In my experience and many other people's experience, it tends to affect you more in a positive way, to just get more mass up here, almost as much as improving your technical proficiency with that particular lift, where the other lifts might benefit more from technical proficiency and you don't need as much mass because it's more leverage based. I don't know, bench is the least natural movement that you will ever do. You're laying on a thing, you're pretending to squish yourself, you're unsquishing yourself. It doesn't make sense. Nowhere else in nature. This lift is silly, and I think it's silly we have to do it. So you guys, okay, so you're better off with less plates too, right? For example, using 145. Yugi with the making good on him taking out that mortgage. Thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Welcome back. Keeping Chester fed all day, every day. Sorry, Seagazen. You're better off with less plates too, right? For example, using 145 plate instead of 225s and 210 plates. Doesn't matter until you get to weights that are heavy enough to really affect the physics of the bar. Depending on the bar that you're using, if you have like a really generic kind of low tensile strength sort of junk bar, you get to that point faster. If you have a good competition bar, you may not even feel a difference until over 600 pounds. So it's really one of those things that happens later down the road. Dalton will do. Thank you. You're welcome. Gotta go to work. Just want to say hi. Well, thanks, Yugi, for stopping in. Also, why didn't anyone tell me to unrack the bar, then set my butt on the bench? I can now successfully bench flat-footed. Oh, man. I don't know, man. I don't personally like that. I used to do that. It's called a lever liftoff. Some places, they have issue with that. They take issue with that. I think I've seen people have to go to the jury in a couple of local level USAPL meets. Depends. Strength Odyssey, thoughts on Bulgarian method type training for low bar squats? I think that in the past my stance has been, and I kind of continue to say that that kind of training I think is more justifiable if you don't have anything else to do, because you're just doing it every single day, and those athletes are usually professional athletes. But where do you go from there, right? When you're squatting every single day and you reach a point where you start to get to like a plateau, because it happens, right? If you do the same thing for long enough, your body adapts to it, and then you have to introduce more stimulus to create an adaptive effect. You have to create more stimulus to push your body to continue adapting past that point, so you have to add to that. It's way easier to add volume on a few squat days than it is when you're squatting every day. Adding volume to those workouts, you may run out of recovery over time. I think that for like a period of time, it's manageable, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like, if that's how you want to train and that's the most fulfilling to you, and you get excited to go in and every day, and that's what you're trying to do, then I would say go ahead and go for it. But in terms of like long-term sustainable training plan, it doesn't seem to be the most that. Lene, hey, how late are you? Well, you missed the deadlifts, but I didn't. We're just starting. This will be I'm wrapping my wrist early again. We're about to start the working sets of bench press. Bench press. So that's all. That's all you missed. Just the deadlifts. And it was mostly just me beating the crap out of my thumbs, and it wasn't as impressive as the lifts I did last week, because the weights are lighter this week. doing this. Don't wrap your hands early, kids. Or wrap your wrists early. It's such a bad habit. Because now they're going to be numb. And the presses are going to be sloppy. Oh well. Little bit sloppy, I think. Yes, please. Lenny, there's no reason to be alive if you don't give the deadlift. Exactly. What are we even doing? What is this, bench pressing? Ugh. Lying deadlifts. Just finished your last week of Small Ob Junior round 2. Hit 235 for 10 sets of 3. Well done, sir. I always like the sets of 3 way more than the high rep sets, but I'm lazy. I'm so lazy. I'd rather take the breaks in between. Ben, do you think getting stronger at machine leg variations will help maintain my squat and deadlift strength while I let my back heal, or am I doomed? Something's better than nothing, and working around it so that you're not aggravating it is going to help you in the long run. So work around it. I've actually got one of my lifters has a hip issue, and every single week we've tried something new to try and find a lower body movement that he can do to maintain his kind of strength while we continue to work through the hip issue, and we've missed a bunch. We've run into a lot of problems. So it's how committed are you? How committed are you to sticking it out? How long are you willing to continue to try and work and find a solution and potentially come up not having one before you quit? That's the biggest question, and that's something that I can't answer for you. So do your thing. Honestly, leg extensions are brutal, man. Goal is to be able to do max stack for sets of 20 while my back heals. Well, the goal is to get stronger while your back heals and to work around it. So careful setting goals like that, because if you start to like do silly things with your technique and not get the most out of it, then you're going to put yourself at risk of like hurting something else, like your knees, or you just don't mess around. Strength Odyssey. I did small base meso, hit every rep, but no PR at the end. That's unfortunate, man. Yeah, that program is fickle. Fickle, I think, is the word I would use. First set was at 2 hours. I'm a lazy boy. Look at me. Yeah, I know Ben's saying work my way up. Yeah, work your way up, but your goal right now is to do them and have them be effective. Your goal is not to do a number. I'm telling you that's your goal. I'm taking a solid currently. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Normally my thumb loops do not hurt this bad, but my thumbs are so beat to poop from those. How many hook sets we did? How many reps of hook grip did we do today? 495. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 hooked reps today. That's why the thumbs feel like I took a hammer to them. You hate thumb loops? I don't like taking my wrist wraps all the way off. For the normal working sets, just because there's so many. Another set, though. We end this, fam. There should be a better solution for wrist wraps. Exactly. Preach, brother. It's called not bench pressing. When will we learn this lift is not good for you? It just causes pain and sadness. feels, man. Oh, the feels. Got lazy on the descent of the second rep there. My bad. Gross. Turn this off, turn this off. When he means, I mean other than thumb loops. Just in general, man. Fight the power. Fight the bench press for power. Except I really like using wraps on my squat so that my elbows don't hurt, but... Lenny, I'm surprised that I don't mind benching 2 days in a row and small. I feel pretty solid even with the heavy work. I know what you mean. Benching always feels a certain kind of way. Benching always feels a certain kind of way. So even though I do it, because Monday and Tuesday are back to back, and then I get a day off, then Thursday, then I get a day off, then Saturday. I don't know. They never feel good. Even when they feel good, they just don't feel bad, I guess. Oh, man. What is... Blech. Well, I dislike benching. It's definitely easier than squatting or deadlifting. Easier is a relative term. Easier is a relative term. Less of your body hurts for longer, I guess. I'll say that. I don't know. I have different... My opinion of the bench press usually changes with how it's going on any particular day. Oh, excuse my burpages. Got lazy on rep 2. So I've got 2 singles today instead of just the one. So we're doing sets 3 and 4 as singles. Last week I did 375, but it was on a bench that wasn't garbage. So it makes things a little early. Bench doesn't make me nearly as out of breath. That's true. That's true. Dalton, hitting a really clean bench doesn't feel the same as hitting a really clean squat. Yeah. See? This is the stream. We're anti-straps. We're anti-bench. We're pro good things only. Bench is a meme lift. Some people, though, they love it. And I get it. Some people are built for it, and then you want it to be the big thing. My squats are never clean. Well, you need to get healthy, and then you can fix that, Lenny. There you go. Can't even tighten my water bottle. Robert, don't make me find the straps picture. Hey, man, we've all made mistakes. We're all human. We all have regrets. And it would make me pretty hypocritical to form an opinion about a thing if I've never learned the hard way that it's the wrong thing to do, right? That's a reach. That's a reach for reasoning. High rep squats should be banned, but I love them. I don't love them, and if Eric and Hanny ever see this, they know that I don't love them. I blame you guys for all my life problems. I'm not tightening these. I'm not tightening these until I put the weight on the bar. Silly Benjamin, what are you doing? What you doing, son? Lenny, I didn't ever use straps until my deadlift was 405 plus. Yep. That's all I'll say to that. Just yep. I'm going to load 365 on the bar. 365. And then guess it'll be good to gauge this. Thumb still feels awful. That's good to know. At least we're consistent. At least we're consistent. Yep, I feel the focus starting to drift a little bit. Come on, Ben. Reel it in. Reel it in, big guy. Reel it in. You can see the disappointment. Look what you doing. Look what you doing, man. I know what you did. I know what you shared. I should change my name to Big Benny. No, don't do it. Don't do it, Robert. Yep, the disappointment is real. I don't even have those anymore. I got rid of those things. Got rid of them. They're not even there. They're not even a part of me anymore. They're out of my life. I'm feeling a certain kind of way about this set. Just because of how poorly I handled that last double. Because I got lazy. Can't get lazy. I'm going to try to focus. I'm going to tuck in the shirt, too. Got my little belly poking out. Like a hoodlum. Gotta fix it. Ugh. Lenny's chat spamming. That's okay, buddy. I could destroy the world with this picture. Well, I posted it as a thumbnail, so it's not like I haven't come to terms with it. And if you guys watch the video, I think the title of it is like deadlift with straps. What? Because of the context. But context doesn't matter to you people. Oh man, yeah, I'm getting a little loose. I'm getting a little loose in the brain. That's all this is. Okay, so tray 65 on the bar. We'll take it for a singy, and then we will assess where to go from there. Might just take it again. Who knows? Who knows? Probably not. Unless if it feels really bad, we'll take it for another one. If it feels not bad, then we'll add weight. He said. We'll call that somewhere in the middle. Decent. I said decent press it is. Forewarned. What can I try to eliminate? Right elbow pain in my bench. Grip whip, different grip in my hands. Some extra exercises. Left shoulder also pops while doing it sometimes, but doesn't hurt. Lat tension, making sure that your lats are engaged the whole time. And then a little bit of high rep dumbbell curls, hammer curls, when control the eccentric to try and help bolster that area a little bit. Lenny says for light tricep extension or cable hammer curls with a rope, make sure your elbows feel good. I'm with you on the hammer curls. For me, tricep extensions usually make it worse, but if your problem is different than mine, then that's a little different. Get off my face. Bugs up in here. Lenny, what happened to that lead? What happened to lead to that low point in your life? Oh, the straps? That was literally one workout where I was trying to do snatch grip deadlifts just because I was too beat up to do my regular work, and so I said I'll just do something that's different I think I was coming off of a meet, actually, and trying something different, and then I didn't like it, so I did literally one workout, and then I didn't use the straps again because I didn't do any more snatch grip deadlifts. Forewarned, I'm not sure what you mean catch up on the 3-part vids today. Not entirely sure what you mean. What is that? Is that British? No, it's like a Scottish or an Irish person living in Britain. My elbows are fine now, but I first switched jobs to a more physical one, but my elbows were beat up all the time. Eventually got used to it, though. Yeah, well, tendonitis is something if you've got it, it's too late. If you've got it, you need to get away from it. If you've got it, you need to like remove the things that are causing it. Usually it tends to be an issue with low bar squatting. Oh, excuse me. And you need to develop better back tightness and more shoulder mobility so that you can create a shelf and hold the bar so it's not moving and putting all that pressure on your wrist that's going into your elbow and into the bicep tendon. So that's my first advice, is to manage that. If you've already got it, you may need to take some time where you're adjusting things, not doing your low bar squatting or changing some things around. For you, Lenny, yeah, but he said he was having elbow tendonitis, right? Did I miss that? Right elbow pain in my bench? I guess I'm just interpreting it as tendonitis. Inflamed elbows and overused forearms and stuff. That could be tendonitis, Lenny. That's what that sounds like. That's what that sounds like. Either way, those ideas should help. And taking a little bit of time away. And if you can't take time away from some of those things, like you're close to a meet or something, I think Izzy made a video a while back where he was talking about this, and he did like a high anti-inflammatory protocol for like 4 or 5 days where he was super loading ibuprofen. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you to do that. That would be something that I would consider, though, if I was dealing with a bunch of elbow pain and had a meet coming up and I didn't have time. I couldn't just not lift, right? So I might take a bunch of anti-inflammatories for a couple of days to see if I could rapidly diminish that inflammation to get me through the point where I need to do the lift, and then I'll take time away from it afterwards. Depends on where you are and what you're doing. And despite what most people say, my elbows feel 100% better when I used to cock back wrist on the low bar squat. I take a false grip and I bring my hand back and wrap it there so that my wrist position is dependent on the wraps are there, and the wraps are supporting my wrist. So that's how I take a position. It's semi-neutral, like it's a little bit cocked back, but neutral and then really enforced with the wraps, and that's what takes the weight. Robert, you liked the video I did on mobility back metal department. Use the tennis ball squeeze with each finger for 100 reps. The whole hand helps a lot in tons deadlift. Sometimes I get some inflammation. Awesome. That was a while ago, wasn't it? I've just moved so many times in the last few years, it's really hard to say. When you do a full grip on the thumb, false grip actually hurts your wrist. I'm not telling you everyone to do it that way. For me, when I make that hand, it pulls, it asks more of this tendon, right? Because if my hand's here, I have more flexibility, where there, it's gonna load that tendon if any kind of movement in that direction happens. So really just depends. I used to have my thumb around the bar, and then I switched to that. Try different things. If something hurts, try something else and see if it works better without hurting. You remember 531 Ben? That's been a while, Robert. I remember. I remember seeing people's names throughout on the comments. The people who comment frequently and stuff. I remember. Man. I don't remember how long I've been making videos, and I remember some of you guys' names. Oh no. Girlfriend's texting me that she wants a dog. She's having a barbecue with her family today, and Uncle brought a dog. Lenny, you've commented on a few older videos. Yeah, man. I recognize. Nope. What are we not doing right now? We're not wrapping the wrist until I load the weight, because I don't know what I want to do again. Ugh. All right, guys. Lenny. Dog is actually code for I want to watch Interstellar someday. Although once I do, what if I just did and didn't tell you? What if I just watch it and then decide not to tell you? Just cause I want to see the world burn. See, Gason, what's the best way or tutorial or opinion on wrapping your wrists? Robert, we're not going 405. Okay, we're opening up to between 375 and 380. So I can do 375, 377, or 380. What do you guys think? You would dox my stream? You mean DDoS? I don't know. It's definitely not 405, boys. Definitely not 405. I did 375 last week, but I had a better bench. So matching it would be okay in here. 377 would be more than last week, and 380. Lenny, shush your face, bits. Shush your face. See, Gason, when I'm ready to do this next set, I'll show you how I wrap my wrists in the way that I think the best way is to do it. We're not doing it's silly and pointless to say 405 or 400 plus, because we're not doing that. So you guys tell me between the three options, because I'm indecisive right now. And at least if something happens and you guys told me to do it, yeah, 375. We'll do that. 375. DDoS, you peasant, or do you mean another thing? Yeah, Lenny, come on. I'll load the weight first. We'll load the weight, and I'm going to demonstrate my wrist wrapping technique. Oh, no. Did we make a boo-boo and leave the camera? I don't want to risk that dying. I'll switch it out. Okay. Minor detour, friends. First, let's make sure the weight's loaded so I don't forget, because I definitely could forget to do that. And we'll take the camera. Little bit of camera, eh? Trick question, the answer is 405. Nar, based on the last set. Middle one sounds good. Lenny's going to try and hack my computer. Good luck, sir. Good luck. Right, you don't dox someone's computer. You would be releasing my private information, which is probably more readily available for me than most celebrity. I'm not a celebrity, so I talk about where I live. That wouldn't be very impressive, Lenny, if you were to dox me. But if you were to DDoS me, I'd be a little impressed. I'd be annoyed at you, and you'd get banned, but I'd be impressed. Oh no. I'm not going to lie, Lenny. OBS just started freaking out. After you threatened to dox or DDoS me without even knowing what it means. That's not good. Look, you angered it. You angered the demon. The OBS demon has left us alone for weeks, and you are making it mad right now. Forgive us. Forgive us, demon. I am Haxor. Dang it, no. We've been doing so good. We've been doing so good. You angered it. What a bummer. What do I do? What do I do? Do I reset it now? Because it's just fighting back and forth. It's not temperature. Who hacked it? Come on, fess up. No. Lenny will leg at the timing, Lenny. The timing was impeccable. The timing was impeccable. To make that threat right before, and then the OBS demon heard it and was like, "Meh. We'll do the top set next." But if you guys don't see me getting ready and doing the top set, then did it even happen? Or I just come back and tell you, no, I benched like 500 pounds. I don't even know how. It just showed up on the bar. Same demon that took out the stream. Something like that. Yeah, it's good now. Yeah, I reset the OBS. It was just mad. It didn't like being on for that long, I guess. Today. It's persnickety like that. Robert Jensen DDoSing again because I'm a TSM fan. Oh, man. I don't want to have to say it. I won't say it. But if you know what I'm talking about, you already know. Just saying. Without saying. I'm going to put this back. All right, camera is in place. Oh, man. All right, C. Gason, are you still there, my friend? So the way I like to wrap my wrists and the way that I recommend it is to start off with kind of having a loose wrap already, kind of pre-wrapped. So it's not on there tight, but it gives you something to get some leverage on. And then the way you go about it is you take your other hand, make a fist with the hand that you're wrapping, and then wrap it tightly around your offhand, because that's what you're going to use to get leverage. Make that fist, put your wrist in the position you want it to be in for the pressing. And then come around. I like to usually go up to my hand, then I like to come down the wrist a little bit, and then back up around and finish up on the hand. And then I tend to keep the thumb loops on and try to keep as much of a fist as possible while you're getting it set up. And use that extra leverage to get a little tighter wrap on. And then it comes down to, then you're able to wrap it as tightly as you want to wrap your wrists. If you don't have a problem getting enough tightness, then you don't need to do it. But if you feel like you're not getting enough tension in your wrap, then that's how I'd go about it. Okay. All right, 375 on the bar. Let's see if I can replicate last week on this little junker bench. Just that little bit of the stall out from where I naturally want to lift up my bootay, but I think that was okay. Robert, yeah, 2-0 today. 2-0 today. Like I said, I didn't want to have to say it, man. Didn't want to have to say it. Second game looked closer. We'll see. I'm hoping North America as a whole brings up their standard of expectation, I guess. I appreciate that, Kyle. For anybody who can't read the comments later on. Love your streams, extremely useful information, genuine guy. I try my best. And then we talk about League of Legends, which is also fun. So, Lenny, probably good thing I didn't do 405, no offense. Extremely offended, Lenny. Oh, man. Dalton Dame getting in the lull. Been watching and playing CSGO for a couple years now. Yeah, I don't have the time to commit to it. I've got too many other things that I'm still trying to manage. Maybe someday I'll open up become better at using my time a little more effectively or efficiently, or a combination of the two. You're gonna dox my pay? What, we've got Yugi stopped by and donated the $3 again. He's kind of every stream he donates the $3 to make me feel like I'm making something. So I always appreciate that. That's pretty much it. Cerny Banders, heel bend technique question. I've noticed your wrists roll back and your wraps. It's intentional. Is this intentional, or do you try to keep your wrists straight? Yes, I set them back in the wrists, and then I wrap them into place. So that is how I go about it. I got that idea, actually, from the video that my friend Bryce did when he was down at Super Training and was talking about bench cues. He likes to set his wrists in that cocked back position, and I have found recently that I like that. I changed it a little bit in the past couple of years, so it's intentional for me. Do you think it's more advantageous to bench with a bent wrist position or straight? Hard to say, because the way that you feel the strongest is, even if it's, in terms of biomechanics, you might run into an issue where there's not as much of a chance to lose force if your wrist is straight, because there's no give in the wrist, right? But if you set it this way, I'm not leaking energy because I've wrapped it so tightly. But it really depends then on how consistent you are with your wrist wrap and your wrist position. So I'd play around with some different things. I really have been liking this wrist position, though. You found that as well, wrist back allows for more elbow tuck. I personally tend to have to avoid elbow tuck at least a little bit, because my right elbow, my right shoulder, the bad one, tends to overcompensate by doing that, and it flares this other one out. So that puts me off balance, which is why a lot of my presses end up looking really kind of cockeyed. Oh, excuse me, I got all the burpages right now. Kyle, interested in Overwatch at all? If not, just fun to watch. I kind of missed the Overwatch train a little bit. Like, I remember when it came out, and a lot of League content creators were switching over to Overwatch, and I watched a couple games, and it's just because I originally was a first-person shooter game kind of guy, which is what, like, Overwatch is supposed to be a combination of those. It almost feels too hectic, though. It almost feels too hectic, and I'm not as big of a fan of how frequently everybody is just dying. I think even when it comes to first-person shooters, I tend to like the slightly slower-paced, ones. I don't know. Maybe I haven't given it a fair chance. But Overwatch is too toxic now. I wouldn't have time to play it. If I had time to play anything, I'd probably try to get back into Call of Duty or League. And both are pretty toxic communities online. But I like to challenge myself and my patience by trying to be. That's a good self-control thing, is to turn your mic on for Call of Duty and be nice to everybody that you interact with. I made a lot of friends who started out calling me names, and then were really shocked when I was polite to them and was nice and patient and didn't get worked up or offended when they called me names. Lenny can't bench with that. Do you think I can't bench with that wrist position? It kills my wrists. Right, so maybe you wouldn't benefit from that. So, but if you wrapped your wrist tight enough, it might not, because I can't feel my wrist when my hands are wrapped tight enough. Go back further in your wrist, or is it just bent back? No, it's bent back, and then I tend to. I kind of bring it back, and then I kind of twist into it to lock the bar in to that spot. Lenny, Jesse Norris benches with his wrist very bent. Well, I've noticed John Hack bench with very straight wrists. I've seen many very strong people lift with different wrist positions. That's why I hesitate to say this is the best way to do it. And I haven't always had the same wrist position. Lessons learned. We're learning the lessons, boys. I'm getting better at noticing when I'm about to do a big no-no. Big no-no. Yeah. Stream died. Died. Need that. That was about to be a really impressive double. That was going to be real awkward. Yes. Yes. We'll have at you, Trebek. Notice usually wide grip benches usually have more bent wrists and vice versa. Does that mean you're going to do 405 eventually? Eventually, that's the goal. I think that dwelling on that number for as long as I had at a certain point in my lifting career actually made it less of a likely possibility. Like, the closest I ever got was when I was able to press 395. And then I missed 405 because I wasn't okay with 4. Ben, don't I want to be able to tell bench pros that I bench 405? I'd like to, but I also understand that I currently can't. So there's wanting to do it isn't going to help me at all. When high school kids ask you, I tell them the truth. I tell them what my bench is. You're assuming that I tell people my numbers with the intention of trying to impress them. That's not the point. I don't need to. Usually I don't tell people unless they ask. And then when they ask, then they are going to feel about it a certain way either way. I'm just kidding. 395 is very impressive. I mean, depending on who you are, if you said that to, like, Ryan Kennelly or, like, Ellis McLean, it's not impressive. Everyone's coming at it from different perspectives, right? I have made peace with where my press is at, and am at the understanding that I'm still doing my best to try to improve it. So that's where it is. Scared up. Cerny, have you thought of incorporating more overhead press? I find it's not just good for building strength, but helps a ton with scapular and shoulder stability and health. I haven't recently. In the past, I have, and I seem to be the most injury-prone overhead presser ever. I tend to hurt myself more often than I should, probably because I tried to rush the process or something. Like I don't blame the movement because I prescribe it for my lifters all the time, but it's just for me has not proven to be as helpful because of how much I tend to open myself up to injuries. So maybe if I'm able someday in the future to figure out how to not hurt myself doing it, and cause like overuse injuries in my shoulders and my elbows, and then maybe it's something that could be beneficial. So stubborn with slow progress. Well, it's just a matter of I tend to, even if I do the same thing and I feel like I'm being patient, I just tend to, maybe my technique is, my technique for my leverages or something is just at a point where it just puts too much pressure on, and I do have my bad shoulder. Maybe that's why. Maybe I have, because this injury was unrelated, and so it might be one of the reasons why I seem to continuously hurt myself whenever I do try to implement it. Well, that's a big old bug. Oh my goodness. What are you? Please go away. I'm not trying to be your friend. Ugh. Dalton, if you could choose to go anywhere in the world, I'm not big into travel. I'd probably ask Jess where she wants to go, and wherever her favorite place is, I would want to go there, because the joy that I would get from the trip of going anywhere in the world would be seeing how happy it makes her. Because personally, I'm content with being in one place and focusing on training. And anytime I can find a place where I'm able to kind of, I don't know, my biggest goal in life is to continue to try and become better and to pursue growth at whatever it is that I'm doing, right? And so as long as I can continue to do that, and then you can also implement that in your relationship, right? I'm trying to grow as a partner. I'm trying to grow as a supporter of the person I love. So that's my answer. I would ask Jess that question, and wherever she said is going to be my answer. Excuse me. You don't really like traveling, Lenny? Most people find that strange. I think a lot of people are really into the idea of experiential. I mean, life is experiences, right? And I think many people are not content with the experiences they can have close to them. And I think a lot of people, and this is me projecting and making broad assumptions, so I have no guarantee this is how everyone's brain works, right? But I think that there are a lot of people that are looking for something better, and the easiest way for them to process that in their mind is to get out of wherever they're at because they're unhappy with where they're at. And so they're like, I just want to go somewhere else. So when they travel, they want to see the world. They want to have experiences. They want to have something, and they kind of look to these other places of saying like, oh, if I could only be there, then my situation would feel better. I would be better. And a lot of times they go there in the context of a vacation, so their responsibilities are not really you're able to walk away from all the things that you have to do back home. And I think that's kind of like an escapism. And personally, I would probably be more stressed out if I was gone. Like when I go places, I worry about getting the things that I need to do done, because I definitely feel like I run into the mental state of if I'm not working on something, then I'm not improving. And that's not always a healthy thing. I think it's good to be able to relax, and that's something I need to work on myself. I think that's also why it's good that my partner is someone who likes going and doing adventures and going on experiential types of events, because she pulls me out of it's not that I'm uncomfortable going to those. It's not like pulling me out of my comfort zone. It's like pulling me out of I'm fine just not doing that thing and not going through and seeking that experience. But I've never had a bad time when Jess and I have gone on like an adventure where we go to like a concert, or if we go Pokemon hunting in Seattle, which I used to not want to go to Seattle, but it's real fun to go with her and hunt Pokemon, because why not? Robert, you get horde anxiety. I don't feel comfortable not being in familiar territory where I probably could never lift somewhere that wasn't the gym environment I'm at. I have a hard time readjusting personally. It's important to be able to readjust for this kind of stuff, because if you ever want to travel for lifting and you go to compete somewhere, you have to adjust for wherever they're at, right? Whatever your circumstances is there. So that's where I think it's not like I have a hard time worrying about those things, but I also want to have access to the things that I know that I like. and I don't seek a lot of external thing. I'm not constantly wondering, is it better to do this other thing? Because I'm content with the stuff that I'm doing, but want to continue to improve the level that I can do it. So I guess that's kind of my take on travel. I'm not opposed to it. I wouldn't hate going on a trip with somebody, but I'm okay with not going on the trip too. And I love hearing other people tell me about their experiences from those things. I'm interested in that, and I can still share in their joy without having to experience it myself. I don't feel kind of that need for, like, I need to experience it myself. I'm okay with someone else sharing their narrative of the situation. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'm just weird. I need to tighten those plates up. They're all rattly. Lenny, you feel like you're in a perpetual state of not good enough, but not in a completely negative way. As a way of self-improvement, I think it's just how I respond to wanting to improve. Robert, you'd probably need a coach or something to help you if you wanted to compete, not the training, but mental, more so than anything. I am a huge proponent that in terms of the actual physical part, that's not the hard part of coaching. Physical part is the easy part. The mental part is when you can tell when someone's a good coach or not. Because especially with something like strength sports or any kind of physical pursuit where you're dealing with physical discomfort as the primary source of driving growth, dealing with someone's emotional and mental states is coaching them. That's why all coaches are really need to be familiar with sports psychology to at least a degree where they're able to understand what their lifters are going through. And if they're not, then they can be the most physically, like, the most technically and physically sound coach there is. But if the athlete needs the support through their, like, the emotional, that's why the videos that I make are the way that I make them. That's why I talk the way that I talk in those videos. Because that's the part that where the coaching really gets done. Because even if you're right, if you tell someone in a way that they're not open to accepting because of wherever their mental state is, then they're not going to use that. They're not going to be able to relate or make the connection or believe in the approach in the system. So, Ben, I'm surprised about how much I agree with a lot of what you have to say in terms of social stuff, not just lifting. I mean, you guys are probably watching the videos for a reason, right? I assume. Dalton, that's fair. I love traveling. I think because I'm so content just doing the same routine for years on end, I would love to go to India or something to see the differences in culture. Maybe I've also had a pretty eclectic experience in terms of meeting different kinds of people through, like, online interaction and things like that, and I do a lot of listening, not so much reading, a lot of, like, listening. I think the audio is kind of the way that I tend to learn best and absorb information. But things where I'll listen to podcasts or I'll listen to I'll read news reports and stuff and try to learn about other cultures through that. So I'm sure that there's plenty that I'm getting wrong and not getting the whole story of going and being surrounded by the culture. But for the most part, I think that I tend to do a pretty good job of trying to expose myself to things that I don't necessarily understand to learn more about them. Because I'm fascinated. When I don't have the answer to something, it's like I can't wrap my mind around that idea. And so instead of being like, I don't want to mess with that if I can't understand it, it's almost like I feel challenged by it, and I want to approach it more and try to bring it into my realm of understanding. And there are many times where I come to the conclusion that I'm not able to understand it yet, and so it keeps me in the process and the pursuit of that understanding. Ooh, excuse me. All right, Ben, thanks. Let me take you up on that, Lenny. Sounds like a fair price. Lenny offering to coach Robert. He says, I have 0 experience. I'll charge $1,000 per minute. No refunds. Seems legit. I mean, his avatar is a big Viking with a beard, so I mean, you can't go wrong. Andreas, good morning, sir. How are you doing? Ugh. From Germany. Lenny, don't know if you feel comfortable answering this, but have you trained any lifters who have used PEDs? Yeah. I've trained lifters. I have some close friends who have used performance enhancing drugs, which is why I think it's so ridiculous when people accuse me of them, because it's like, no, I know people who are taking them. I wouldn't. I would do what I would see the results that they would have from not and then too, and be like, oh well, I would just no. I personally don't have a problem with that. I would have a problem with it if my lifters who were trying to compete in tested federations. So I will make that clear. I have worked with lifters. No, I meant as in coach. Yes, I have coached lift, and I asked them. I'm very upfront about it because I don't want my lifters to feel like they can't be honest with me. I've had a few that were international lifters where it's not illegal in their country, and then I've had a few who don't compete in tested federations. And as long as they all understand that my knowledge base in that is very topical, in that I don't have a deep understanding of performance-enhancing drugs to where I'd be the best person to coach them, I think. But at the same time, I think that a lot of things that apply to natural lifters can apply to other lifters as well. So, for Coach Ben, because he's the best. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it, brother. Get hyped for I'm a Cutie Pie, Voy Boy, Dyrus, Shifter, Scara, Challenger, Team Craig. You're kidding. You're kidding right now. They're not. That would be the most ridiculous team. I mean, that's basically Dignitas. Just, or is it Curse? Was it Curse? Curse and then Dignitas, and then the guy who betrayed them. Dyrus, I remember. I always remember. Robert, I'm serious. Let me find it, dude. That's hyphy. That's hyphy. As the boy wonder would say, man, that's spicy right there. Half Tie Guy, Big Ben from the Animal Pack, JK, man, I've been following since. Well, I appreciate it, man. That's a while. It's been a ways. When did I leave Universal? I don't even know. Sophomore year? Junior year? Junior year in college, I think. The meme team, they are. Robert single-handedly feeding Chester. Dude, Robert just fed Chester for like a week. Robert coming up clutch. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Because now when I tell my girlfriend why the stream didn't end around 9 like I thought it would, I could say at least I made some money. She'll appreciate that. Dude, I'm going to click that link. I'm going to finish this last set first, and then I'm going to hit that. I'm going to hit that link. I'm going to see the truth. What's going on, guys? It's your boy, I'm a Cutie Pie here. Oh, boy. Boy, oh, boy. Oh, you hear that? I wonder if we can get a... Oh, no. Spine's not ready to go. Ayo, Bakara, will I ever come to Canada? I've been to Canada a bunch of times to visit my best friend when he was playing for the BC Lions, but he just went down. He's playing for the New Orleans Saints right now. And so my whole Canada trips are all thrown off. I went up to Surrey quite a few times, and BC, and through Vancouver. Last double. Fight. Oh, I punched it. Some random punching stuff. Come on. Forgot to tighten the words. Come on. Alright, not bad. Not bad out. I mean, not great, but not bad. Andreas, why do you leave Universal? I was wondering about that. The main reason was that I got hurt for a while, and on the way back, I wasn't taking any supplements. And by the time I got back up to similar kind of strength levels, I didn't notice a huge difference from when I had been taking the supplements. And so basically I didn't feel like I wanted to. I had an issue. I don't have any problems with Universal. I think that they are, from my experience with them, they are very ethical in their approach to the supplement game, where they try to get good products, and their customer service and like how much they care about their stuff working and helping people is something that they're really concerned with, and I respect that. But I was finding for me the supplements weren't making a huge deal. I felt maybe I wasn't as solid on the other aspects. I wasn't taking care of my nutrition the way I should. I wasn't taking care of my sleep or the other things. And so representing a company whose products I didn't think were necessary for me and wouldn't be helping me as much as like just fixing my diet and doing those kind of things, ethically that didn't sit well with me, and so I didn't re-sign with them at the end of the year. We're still on good terms. I visited the cage this year after the Arnold. I went and they were breaking it down, and I went and talked to some of the guys there. I had nothing but good things to say about them. It just representing a company whose products I didn't take anymore just is not something I'm about. And I wouldn't want to represent a company that I, because then what's the what's the point? What are you you're just saying like, oh, these guys are making this thing and I believe in it, but then you're just lying. I don't like that. So Joseph, how will you post more singing videos? I love those. Well, if I have a chance, my group, we're all spread across the state, so we have some stuff we want to do in the future, and we'll probably post videos when we have the chance. The last time I was able to take videos of us singing, the audio quality was horrible because it was just in a bar in Seattle, and it was just the bad acoustics, and my cameras are not the best for capturing audio, so have to maybe not anytime soon. But would you ever go about doing any more strongman comps? In the future, I'm definitely open to the possibility. Just currently my focus is on increasing my powerlifting total. So, but I've got some really awesome resources if it's something that I'm going to look to do in the future, which could totally happen. Call up Zach McCarley and be like, hey, make me good at strongman. He's like, all right, we need you to overhead press. And I'll be like, I'll be right back. Let me go over to do some more powerlifting first. Feels bad, man. Lenny Ben, what do you think life would be like if you never started lifting? Mine would be pretty crappy. I have a feeling that I would have found something else and gone about it the same way. I don't know what though, because I started this at such a young age. Jermaine, hello, welcome back. Yeah, I started this at such a young age that so many of the decisions I made and have made, and connections that I made with people, and people that I've met, have been through this thing. Because it's not just like, oh, I'd be different if I didn't go to the gym. It's like, I'd be different if I didn't go to the gym. And the only time I traveled for years was going to weightlifting competitions and meeting people there, and having a YouTube channel based on that, and interacting with people online. Like I'd say my life, more than a lot of lives who lift weight, I've structured my life around this pursuit, I guess. I'd probably do CrossFit. I probably would. If I'm being completely honest, if I didn't get into powerlifting specifically, because CrossFit fascinates me and I'm entertained by it, and I would still feel like doing something physical. But if I had to say nothing, like no lifting, nothing like that at all, no physical stuff, I don't know. Don't know what my life would look like. Other than it would be very different. And I would be either very, very chubby, or I would be super, super skinny. Probably chubby. I think I trended towards chubby until I got into the stuff where I ended up getting too skinny, and then it's been a fight back and forth ever since then. Lenny, wonder if aliens will make a visit tonight. He did. He started off the stream. He told me that his girlfriend thought I was adorable and preferred me to him, and I said that he's a good guy and she should stick it out. CrossFit, run, fam, run! I've actually got some friends. The Northwest Regionals are happening right now, so I've been watching those because I've got a few people that I know that are competing at the regional level. I want to support them. Competitive egg white chugging? Oh, gosh. No. That's something I don't enjoy doing, but it's just becomes necessary because I'm too lazy to... It's not necessary. Because of the laziness that I have when it comes to cooking and my lack of any kind of interest in doing it at all, the egg whites are just the easiest way to get protein. And I don't have to make or mix protein shakes. God, I'm lazy sometimes. But I admit it. I don't know if that makes it any better. Who knows? Maybe in the next few years I'll try to find some of that. Half tie guy, do you feel just as motivated working out at your place, or do you miss lifting at your college? There are days where I go back and forth. I think sometimes lifting an environment with other people can be motivating. So much of my lifting philosophy has really moved away from motivation. It used to be a huge driving force for me, but now it's really not. Because there are so many days where I lift where I'm just not motivated, because to get any better, I understand how much suffering it is going to require. Because I like things like high rep squat work and just high volume work I'm not a fan of. I don't get motivated to do that kind of thing. And so much of my drive to continue doing this is based on conscious, value-driven decisions instead of motivation where I feel like doing the thing. Because that lasted for years for me, where I felt like doing the thing just because you get excited about doing it and whatever. But if I just relied on that, then I would get to the level that I could get to just through motivation, but then I'd be stuck there, because if you do anything in your life, if you only do it when you just feel like doing it, then you're not going to progress past a certain point. You have to eventually break through the threshold of saying, I'm going to commit to going in even when I don't feel like doing it and working on it. And so that's been a huge mental shift for years for me. And it's not saying I'm never motivated, because I am. There are times when I feel like go do the thing, when I hit a big PR or something. I'm motivated when I get to a meet, or I have an experience that can drive that motivation. But if I was still in the mentality where I was stuck depending on motivation, then I would not be nearly as strong as I am, he said, trying not to sound egotistical. So much more is just built on acceptance and commitment at this point. So I've shifted my perspective, so I hope that helps. Though there are the times like last week when I was in Seattle with Brandon and the Seattle Strength and Power guys, and I hit some crazy deadlift that 750 beltless pause deadlift was not something that was on the list for that day. I sent a fuzzy video of 725 for a double to Eric and Hanny and said, hey, how's this look? And I add 20 pounds to this. And I'm pretty sure Hanny thought that it was only 675 on the bar because Brandon posted a video on Instagram of my 675 warm-up, and 675 and 725 looked pretty similar. So he's like, go ahead and add 25 pounds. And I was like, okay, you asked for this, and I had 750. And he's like, 750? And I'm like, yeah, there you go. Story time with Ben. Oh, no. I didn't check the meme squad. What am I doing with my life? Here we go. What is that? Dot Sports? Oh, no. Skara's smile is my favorite thing. He's so bad at smiling. It never looks real. Whenever Skara smiles, it looks like the fakest thing ever, and I love it so much. I can't. Sorry. Oh my god. Oh man. All right, Lenny. That's beautiful. I'm saving that picture forever. I can't. I'll read the article later. I'll read the article. Weird question. All right, Lenny. What would you say are your muscular strong points in terms of size and strength? Because some people have naturally large traps or biceps. Nothing's naturally muscular-wise. I don't think I have any like overdeveloped stuff that happened. It's all a matter of obviously his heart is his biggest muscle. Best answer, Andreas. Best answer. There we go. Probably like my back. In terms of just because I deadlifted so much with such terrible technique for so long, my spinal erectors are some of the most overdeveloped you'll probably encounter on a lifter my size. They're just legs. Fair, yeah, my legs are pretty beefy. Definitely not anything up here. Definitely nothing up here. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I like when I have a video like a 3/4 angle of a big deadlift or something. I think my forearms tend to look kind of beefy. Because I never use straps. That's a thing right there. Boom. Boom, except for that one time, which we don't talk about. But I think that's probably it. So forearms, spinal erectors, and legs. Like upper legs, not calves, because we don't mess with that. That's just extra weight for your weight class. I don't need none of that. Oh, God, that picture is still getting to me. Andreas, man, I would love to lift alone in my basement. People in the gym are weird. Last week I saw one of the regulars deadlifting with 2.5 kg plates under his toes while wearing Oli shoes. Huh. Unique. It's an interesting... Did you ask him why? I would be curious. I think I would approach someone if I saw them doing something and just not... Your intention couldn't be to like, oh, I'm going to school them. I tell them how silly they look. Be like, oh, what's the purpose of doing that? And let them explain it to you. And see if it was as silly as it looks. In terms of muscles that develop much faster than others. My spinal erectors develop way faster than the rest of me. Well, like I said, my spinal erectors developed so quickly because my technique was so bad and because I did so much, like, they had to develop or I would have died, kind of a thing. Peter, hello, Ben. Glad I made it to the stream. Do you watch UFC? Well, you made it to the end of the stream. We're kind of winding down now since I finished the workout that's the streamable part. I have watched UFC in the past. Now I will, I don't watch anything live. I don't do pay-per-view or anything, but I'll, when Joe Rogan has a fight night or something, a fight companion, I'll tend to watch those and I'll listen to them break down the fights. And then if something was like a good fight, I might go back and watch it. I'm fascinated by the art of mixed martial arts. I really like the way that Joe Rogan describes it as being, it's like physical chess with the highest amount of consequences. I think that's a really interesting way of looking at it, and so I like that. But Lenny, yeah, my technique was very bad when I first began deadlifting. Been a struggle to fix it. No, a lot of people, myself included. The reason I'm so zoned in on positions and technical proficiency is because mine was so poor and lacking for so long that I feel, whenever people say, "Oh, your numbers are this or that," or it's impressive that you're so lucky you got to that point. I feel like most people could get to where I've gotten with a shorter time frame if they had more information, more knowledge starting out. Because I spent so long figuring things out and learning everything by doing it the wrong way. So, Peter, and that sucks. Well, I mean, we'll be here for a little while longer. I do want to make sure that I call the girl. She works early tomorrow, so I need to make sure that I finish up so I can call her before she has to go to bed and tell her that I don't think it's a good idea for us to get a puppy. But Andres, has anyone seen Ben Pollock's 750 squat at 181 squat and wraps? Dude's insane. Well, he won the American Invitational, won 40 grand from the USPA. Beat John Hack in the 183s, 181s, 180, whatever the weight class is. Because, yeah, it would have been 181s, because USAPL and IPF are the only ones that use the 83. Get out of here. Bugs. Half-tie guy, would doing block pulls, depending on the height of them, help with lifting more weight off the floor in time? With block pulls, I would say there can be an effective teaching tool if you start with a higher block and work your way down towards the ground so that you're developing the mobility to get in a position specifically for like a sumo deadlift as you go down. But for the most part, I wouldn't have those as a primary as my primary variance. I would probably mess around with tempos or with pausing and make sure that you're positioning. Because when you're a block pull, you may get to that. You are a loud bug. You may get to that position naturally throughout the course of a pull, but many people set up their block pull in a position that is not within the force curve, which is not in the movement pattern that they're actually doing. Like, they get really good at doing block pulls by like leaning a certain direction or like forcing their knees under or doing weird things. Do you guys hear that? You guys hear that? What are you? Oh, it's a yellow jacket. Okay. No, friend. Please don't. I don't want to play this game with you. What are you doing? Okay. Anyway. Lenny Jr. I'm jelly people who have big traps. You can be pretty small, but if you have huge traps, you look pretty big. I would say that that's something that you could work on by doing a lot of deadlifts. Your traps get bigger, right? That's kind of cool. I think the musculature in the back is one of those things that you kind of have to earn that, right? Like, you can have someone who's got big like when someone's got a very developed back, they tend to be a pretty strong person. Even if it's some old guy who was like a sailor and was like, I'm going to shake your hand and crush your head or something. I don't know. It's getting late. I'm getting loopy. It happens. Opinion on 24-hour weigh-ins versus 2-hour. Totally different sports when that's the case. It's a different, like, they should never be compared because it's a different skill set. Like, I don't think one is more or less impressive than the other a lot of the time because it's asking different things. I'm sorry. I don't want to annoy this little fella, and I'm not trying to kill him. I want him to go on and do his whole life thing. You all right, bud? No, you don't need to come over here. You go on that way. Big old door. The world is open to you, my friend. Can you guys see him? I think you can see him. He's right by the remote. That little black dot. You're fine. Here, I'm going to put the weights away. While you figure out what you want to do with your life, okay? We'll do that. I can't even deadlift, Ben. I know, Lenny. You got to just take your time, fam. I know some pretty large people with pretty large backs who can't deadlift much weight at all. Well, then their technique's usually terrible. And their back is usually big because they can't use technique. But the combination of the two. I've worked with lifters before who were like really muscular and they're not able to lift a whole lot, and then we fix their technique and they're way stronger than they thought they are. Not to take away from Pollock, he cuts like 20 pounds of water weight while Hack actually weighs like 180. Well, we don't have to say one or the other, right? They're both impressive. They're both very gifted, strong, hardworking lifters. And Ben's lift was very impressive. There you go. Ta-da! Friendship. What are you doing? Go away. Why? Thank you. Not towards me. The opposite of that. Little jerk. What are you doing with your life? I don't want to have to fight you. I'm not trying to be about that right now. You can just go be free. Thank you. Rude. Friggin' wasps, man. It's like they don't even care. Well, I don't think we need that kind of negativity going around here, my friend. You're the loudest bug beast I've ever seen. Ben vs. Bug, who will win? Find out the next Dragon Ball Z. No, he's just... I'm not trying to... I don't want to kill him. He's just lost. He's just hanging out in the wrong spot. What kind of message would that send? Half Thai guy, do you ever deadlift in Olympic shoes? I've tried them before. Hated it. I felt like I was in a... They basically were just all really... Because I already have a high hit position for my pulls, and it ended up just making me basically stiff leg dead from a deficit where I was being pitched forward every rep. So, I wasn't a huge fan. I think I could see someone making an argument for it if their leverages were different. But I don't even like to squat in Olympic shoes, so. Lenny, feel like the same way. Feels like I can use more quads. I don't know if I like it more, though. I think the idea with it would be that you could... Well, because you still have to get your knees out of the way. Makes your hips shoot up like crazy, Andreas. Yeah. No, I'm trying to think of what it was. I think my glutes were getting like crazy amounts of activation because I basically was just doing a stiff leg. Because I got such a short torso and such long legs. I have a short torso and such long arms. Reverse quote. Boom. Take that. No. Go away. I don't love you. Ugh. Let me open the door all the way. Maybe get him to go to your home. What, are you too good for your home? Come on. There we go. All the way. See? You got a whole world out there. Those lights aren't even that cool. You guys ever just yell at bugs? You ever just have like a night where you're like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna speak English at this flying bug beast, and hopefully it's gonna understand and do what I ask it to. Never does. It's interesting. Get my hips lower with ollies. Well, you can get your hips low with anything, Lenny. It comes down to what position you tend to default to. G'day, big fella, and later. Quick cue, my weight plates aren't very big and I've tweaked my lower back at the lower position a few times now. Does it make sense to chuck in a couple center blocks down, bring the bars to a starting position a bit higher, 6 inches or so? Yeah. I would say if the plates aren't standard, find out what standard is. What is that, like? Probably about 6 or 7 inches. Makes sense to the center of the bar, or to where the bar should be placed. Don't make yourself do unintentional deficits just because you don't have standard plate sizes. So, good idea or not, I think it might be worth looking into. Gotta learn to work with your circumstances, right? Gotta make it work, and if that's how you go about it, then that's how you gotta go about it. Oh, opening that door just made it all cold in here now because it's dark out. I just feel I'm just not happy with anything. What am I doing with my life? What is it, kids? See, guys, and I like deadlifting with Oli shoes because I get no lower back rounding and feel stronger. If it works, then do it. If it works, then great. And if your positions are better from it, awesome. If it fixes all your leverage problems, that's great. I'm very hesitant when these kind of things to like say this is the way to do it for everybody, because if you have a good argument and it feels better, then go for it. Started pulling. Start 45 centimeters. Yes, Andreas, 44 to 45 centimeters for standard plate radius. Sounds about right. Okay, Sony, hello Ben. How do you deal with mid-back rounding in the deadlifts? With patience. A lot of the times it's a default position if you don't have enough thoracic mobility, so working on your thoracic mobility. Working on your hip and glute mobility so that you're not having to default your back to be able to get into position. Big question is your back starting out neutral and then rounding, or is your starting position when you get down just to reach the bar, are you already in a rounded position? If you're in a rounded position, then it's your mobility. If you start neutral and start pulling and your back starts to round, then you have the issue of spinal shifting in the lift, and that's a no-no. And that's usually a strength weakness within your back, not having enough isometric strength to be able to hold that position and keep everything braced and neutral and locked in. Goodness gracious. So that would be my approach, Akshay. I think that's how I say Akshay. I tried. I gave it an honest try. Half tie guy, do you think your bench is improved? Yes and no. I remember writing to you on Facebook and saying that your bench was not that great compared. And me saying no, you didn't say it, and you saying that your bench was not that great compared to your other lifts. That's true. I mean, still compared to those other lifts, it's not. I squat in the mid to high sixes. I deadlift in the mid to high sevens now. 800 pounds, but it was a deadlift bar, so I can't count. And I still haven't officially gotten my first 400-pound press. But it's gotten better because my standard of acceptance of it has risen. So even if my numbers haven't gotten like the trend of the numbers, it seems almost like I've stalled, but I'm more consistent in that upper range now, and my lifts are cleaner and more controlled and more legitimate. So that's some stuff I would I think it's gotten better, but it's not as obvious. Like when my deadlift gets better, it's gotten better, and the numbers at the top end have also gone up. So it makes sense for some strangers to find stronger deficits while wearing Olis. Lenny, I'm gonna say that you're having some things that make me feel like your technique could still use a lot of work. If these things are just easier, maybe there are a few things that would be beneficial. Yeah, I can keep my lower back straight, but I just feel much stronger with a round middle back because it's not the same. A lot of the time, something that will eventually has a higher ceiling of potential will not be as strong in the moment because you've adapted to this particular technique. It takes a long time. It's tough sometimes to identify something and say it's going to be better for me to commit to this more ideal mechanical position and then develop the strength in that position and the comfort in that position so that you're able to display your strength. Pedussi Rampage 2010. Ben, do you train coach women in the same ways as men? It takes a different approach. I think the women that I've worked with in the past have been very, very strong, hardworking, talented ladies, and I think some of the differences that I tend to see, women tend to be able to work much higher with relative intensities for longer. They tend to be able to handle much more relative volume. There are a lot of differences I've noticed, where you can't really just give them the same program a lot of the times. I mean, there's exceptions to everything, right? There's across the spectrum of different guys. Guys have different, if I have 10 lifters that are all male, they all have different needs. Some of them might have similarities in certain aspects of like how their progression works or something, but I would have to have 10 different looking programs for them, if it's for that lifter. And usually everything starts out a little more generalized, and then it gets more specific to the lifter as I work with somebody. But in general, the women I've worked with have had higher relative volumes and higher relative intensities, because and like their tapers are much shorter because they don't need as much time to feel better. It's strange, but it exists, and it's something I've noticed on more than one occasion. So I've had a couple of ladies who have competed at high level competitions and have done really well. So I think that I've had some success in that aspect. Bench is the only lift I might catch up to in the next 20 years. Well, since I'm helping you with it, Andreas, I hope to have both of our numbers increase. That's the goal. Seriously, man. I'm busy here. Thank you. Rude. Gosh. Actually, thank you, Ben. Can you just go through your cues for sumo deadlift and what it is your foot angle like in the sumo? My cues have been greatly reduced. The biggest cue I would say is smooth and fast. But in terms of like setting up, I'd have to probably work with you in person, because every person's leverages and biomechanics are different, that I wouldn't have them all set up the same way. Maybe get close enough to the bar, develop a neutral spine, engage your glutes, hinge at the hip, drop straight down, contact with the bar, engage your lats, twist the bar with your elbows in so that you're engaging that lat. Make sure if you pop your hips back, make sure you just do it enough that you can get a solid breath in, circumferential breathing, hips into the bar without pushing it forward, engage the spine, or engage the neutral spine stabilization, and then feel like have a string like on this part of your neck here, and have someone pull that up as you hinge the hips through. So way too much to give somebody, this way too many things, but you reduce it down so that those things become more just the natural occurrence, and focus on one thing at a time. If you try to over-cue someone and give them 50 different things to work on, it's going to keep them from actually being able to implement any of those things. And so usually I start with something that's more in terms of like the smooth and fast cue of start smooth and then go fast. And that tends to clean up a lot of things naturally, and they do it without even realizing it. And then you go through and find little things. Lenny, you start a lot of sentences. Okay, this is going to sound weird, but I feel my lower back working more when I deadlift with a completely neutral spine versus a rounded upper middle back. Why is that? You feel them working more with a neutral spine. Well, because you're having to maintain the neutral spine. It's a safer spinal position, but it takes more work to hold that position. Where segmenting the spine is going to feel easier initially because the load is in a different spot. But it's not as safe. And you can hurt yourself doing everything right, but you can hurt yourself faster doing things not right. So, half tie guy, I swear it looks like the bike in the background is just chilling with a bunch of boxes. Yeah, man, pretty much. Just hanging out. It's got some hooks that it's hanging from, but it's pretty much doing just that. I want to make you worry about your technique, Lenny, because you should always worry about it to the fact where you're trying to always fix it. Just saying. Frosteady, hello, sir. What did you say earlier? Was that a start to a question? Andreas, am I still coaching Mark McQueen? How's he like? Dude's a beast. He's one of my hardest workers. I'm very fortunate that the lifters I work with tend to be very hard workers and very motivated. And what are we on right now? I think that Mark and I have been working together for something like 120 straight weeks. And so we got Worlds coming up. And I think he's going to do something pretty special. He's going to do something really special. And he's going to, we're just trying to get him there in one piece. Love Mark. He's a good boy. Strong, hard worker. Seagason, going to implement that smooth and fast cue. Sounds like it is going to help a lot. I think I made a video when I was talking about pause deads. In my coaching tips videos. I talked about the smooth and fast, and I showed a couple of visual demonstrations of it. So, Lenny, I didn't know you coached Mark, the Scottish barbell destroyer. And this when Mark used to slam the forehead in the bars. Yeah. Well, why do you think he doesn't do that anymore? I ruined it for you because I wanted him to lift more weights and not smash his head. No, I would never tell him to change something like that if it actually was helping him. But we've worked on a lot of different stuff, and he lets me coach, which I really appreciate. He's a very coachable athlete, where if I tell him something, he trusts me, and I appreciate it. It makes it feel like I'm able to actually do my job. So. Frosteady just got stronger elbow sleeves and was military pressing the rebound. The bottom is insane. Does knee sleeves feel the same? It should, if you're doing them right. When people say I don't get anything out of my knee sleeves, then they're either lying or they're not using them correctly or getting ones that fit them the way they should for a competition sleeve. Andres, well, we were learning from you. Of course, they're going to be hard workers. One of the big reasons why I signed up with Team Rice. Well, I appreciate that that's something that seems to be a consistent trend. Half tie guy, I recently watched the video of you back when you almost passed out front squatting. I did pass out. I straight up passed out. Do you still do them? I don't do them at all. Would it be good for accessory work to help with anything? For me personally, I have so much. They cause so much inflammation in my elbows from losing that spinal position because to stay upright. Because the limiting factor of a front squat is your low back, because that's you get down if you have any kind of forward lean at all, that's where it fails. And so you have to stay upright. Not with my knee. I've got a meet coming up. I'm not gonna aggravate it. I could do a front squat, but I have to keep such an extended spinal position that my knees have to track really far forward, which is not always the best. So, yeah. I'm actually really proud of that video where I passed out because I put some really awesome music editing to it, where it was Fallen for the First Time by Bare Naked Ladies, and I was real proud of that. I was hoping that would get me on something like Tosh.0. That exposure, though. It was really stupid. 365, I think, and I knocked myself out on the bar because I was like this, and I walked back, and I was like, oh no, and the room went dark, and I leaned forward to try and rack it, and only half of it made it, and the other didn't, and I went, and I still have a part of my chin where I don't grow facial hair anymore because I scarred myself coming down on that. Yep, that's my life. Good times. Frost Eddy, would knee wraps give you even more bounce out of the bottom? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a reason that people can squat more with wraps than without. Lenny, can I do a pistol squat? I have done them. I have not practiced them in a while, and I'm not interested in trying right now. Again, if my knee was a little less prone, it's actually calmed down a lot right now, and so I don't want to aggravate it. Is where we're at with the knee. And then hopefully after this meet at the end of June, I'll be able to like get it so it just leaves me alone, so it's not a recurring issue that I have to work around every single day. But you do what you do. Andreas passed out while deadlifting a couple years ago. Got the rep, burned my head on the rack. Not a good trade. Nah, man. Not the best. Not the best trade to make. Trust Eddie, one time when I was split jerking for football, I hit my jaw. Oh my gosh. Adam was in the stream earlier, and we were doing dumbbell overhead like pullovers once, and he clocked himself on the face with it and like gave himself a big gash, like straight up Harry Potter status on the forehead. It was adorable. And you have super bad balance and can do a lot of pistols off a low box, but fall over whenever I try regular ones. I used to do these things where I would like have a foot off of the edge of the platforms at the school, and I would do a full lean back, and then I would like pull myself up and like slide across the floor and then stand up and do a pistol. Like full extension, come up, and I'd have my heel hooked around. So it'd be like a 3-inch box pistol squat with a full extension, and it was ridiculous. They look cool, but they were super not helpful for anything. Half Thai guy, I don't take any supplements currently. Maybe ibuprofen if I'm having inflammation issues. I would say fish oil, but I stopped taking it a while ago because I just forgot to order it and haven't caught back up with it. And take creatine, 5 grams of creatine in the mornings. Joe, hello Joe, welcome. What are you still doing up, mate? Should be nap time for you, I believe. I think did I miss some people? Lenny's hit his jaw several times on overhead press. See, gotta be careful, man. See, you know, successful bow-legged lifters. I am one myself, and it seems like it leads to all kinds of premature knee problems. I would work on trying to remedy that. It's making me nervous. Stop it! Go away! This isn't your home! Go to your home! You're just flying up at the lights and just being a menace. Yeah, I would say that, I mean, the knee problems is that you're going to be shifting so that you're going to be putting extra pressure on certain areas, right? So I am naturally hyperlordotic in my lower spine. To fix it, I had to get insoles for my shoes, since one of the arches in my feet is shorter than the other one, and so it like made my pelvis uneven and it caused a bunch of issues, and so I had to work on that, and it's still something I like tend to battle with and try to have to overcome. So it's kind of like we have to, I think you can be successful wherever you're starting out, but it may take some effort on your part to try and overcome those things. Lenny, maybe you should try and master the pistol squat. Well, back in the heels, Ben, I know what you're talking about. I can do that, I think. The videos used to look really cool of it. There's no reason to do them anymore. Frost said you wish you had access to a yoke bar. I mean, the internet exists. You could have access to a yoke bar. I don't miss one. I don't know what I would do too much with it. Andreas, I once dropped an Atlas stone on my toes from about chest height. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Sounds like a blasty. Oh, Joe just got back from coaching with Katie Ann and friends. Well, hope you guys had fun. Akshay, how would you deal with lagging arms when you have elbow pain as well? Lagging arm, I mean, I think we talked about the idea of doing some. Oh, Austin, sorry, man. Yeah, workout's over. We're just hanging out. We have been for a while now. Workout finished about an hour ago. Yeah, we're doing this again. I keep thinking it's not going to be. We're not going to go 5 hours this time. We're going to go for about another 10 minutes, I think. Then we're going to have to shut it off because I need to get some stuff done and call the waifu before bedtime. For her bedtime, she has to wake up and go to Seattle early in the morning. Crazy boys. Lagging arms, and you have elbow pain as well. Figure out what's causing the elbow pain and address it directly. First off, check out Kelly Starr's Mobility WOD. Type in Mobility WOD elbow pain into the YouTube search engine and try to find some videos that can maybe help with that and kind of go through the list of different ideas. The advice I usually give is it usually is a result of low bar squatting and having either inadequate shoulder mobility or inadequate upper back strength and tension. So increase your ability to maintain an upper back tight isometric hold to create the shelf, and increase your shoulder mobility so that you're not loading up that bicep tendon, that elbow, with extra loading. And then once you're doing those things, also some positive anecdotal evidence of doing high rep, low weight hammer curls with a controlled eccentric can be beneficial as well. So hopefully those help. You guys all dropping things on your feet. Don't do a pistol. Don't try a pistol right now, Lenny. You have a hurt back. Don't hurt yourself trying to figure this out. Wait. Be patient. Bye, Joseph. Thanks for stopping in, man. Appreciate it. Frostetti, do I isolate arms? Not really. Half Thai guy, does your girlfriend lift with you at all? In the past we have, and once we're closer and not so far apart, then we'll probably lift together again. She's a soccer player, and so she's more. Once we started dating, she got more into lifting weights and stuff, but I think running is kind of like her preferred type of exercise in general. So, Lydia fell over. I can do it holding something. Maybe I'm just weak. Maybe you should wait until your back's better before you try doing silly things, you silly boy. Oh, goodness. Gonna head out. Bye, Benny. All right. Have a good night, man. And actually, we do need to, if anybody has any final questions, we should probably shut down here. It's about 10:40 here, so I'm thinking 10:45 would be a good time to end it. That's an hour and 45 minutes longer than I planned on going, but story of my life. Baby, bye, bye, bye. Yeah. Solid. Good night, Robert. Thank you guys, and thank you again, Robert, for the donation. Damn, 140 there, Frostetti. Yeah, this is actually pretty early for me, to be honest. On a Saturday, we're getting a little bit better with the earlier nights, but it's still much later, I think, than would be ideal. Get huge. Akshay, thank you for answering all the questions. Well, I appreciate it too, man. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. This stuff is great, and it also hurts. No problem, Coach. Have a good night. You have a good night as well. It's 11 a.m. there in India. Well, that's why we benefit from some of these later night. See, like all the residue it leaves, though. But it keeps that from tearing again. So, yeah, man. Thanks for answering. No, man, I love doing it. I love hanging out. I love the community. Thank you guys for coming and spending this time. These things would be real lame if no one came and hung out and asked any questions, and it was just me lifting weights by myself. I do that anyway. It's way more interesting to actually have conversations and stuff with you guys. Ayo Bakari, good night. Andres, all right, I'm going to grab some breakfast. You do that, Andres. You get some breakfast. I'm going to get myself some din. Get ready, clean myself up, get some naps going. Good stuff. So, wherever you are in this world, I hope that whatever part of the day you are having is a good one. Favorite knee wraps I'd recommend Frostetti are the Titan Gold Signatures. Those are the ones that I've had the best results with and enjoyed the most. But for everyone else, oh no, see Gazen, you have another question. What happens is that the teardrop in my quads gets more stimulation, more pressure on the inner side of my knee. I think closer stance is going to do it for now. All right, that's something to try. All right, we're gonna successfully end the stream because I don't like leaving questions unanswered. But I love you all. I hope that you're having a good day or night or evening or whatever it is. And next stream schedule is going to be Tuesday and Saturday again, as per usual. Still working on getting the Twitch stuff set up, and so we will see. But if you're not following the Instagram, the Twitter, or the Facebook, those are about to go live. And so if Tuesday rolls around and I'm not streaming on here, check those social media things or the Discord server, which should send you an alert if we go live on Twitch or on YouTube. So if you're interested and want to come and hang out more at the streams, go ahead and join the Discord server or follow me on those social media outlets, and I will do my best to stay consistent about posting when the streams are happening so you guys don't feel like you're missing it if you could make it. Otherwise, I will have a video out probably tomorrow, but I've been waiting for a commentary idea, and I think I got a couple good ones tonight, so we'll see if we can make that a real thing for tomorrow. And otherwise, I will talk to you all very, very soon. Goodbye.